What's going on, everybody? It's your boy PTK BLAM back in the building with another episode of the Shop Podcast coming to you guys live another Saturday evening. You guys know what it is. I see you guys all in the chat looking beautiful already. So come in, kick your feet up. Once again, say hi to everybody on the panel here. Hit the like button, subscribe. Once again, you can join as well if you want to become a member, a Shop Podcast patron. We appreciate all the support. All you got to do is come in and just hang out. Listen to the gaming talk, and we're gonna keep this thing cooking for sure. We got an awesome guest. I can't even. He doesn't even qualify as a guest to be awesome, but we're calling him a guest today. But we're gonna go ahead and go around the panel here. We'll start with our guests, and we'll just keep things rolling. And we're gonna roll right into the topics. If you're new here, once again, hit the like button, subscribe, and we'll keep this thing cooking, man. So first and foremost, we got our guest of the hour here, Mr. Mav, Mr. Fun Speculation. The host with the most, man. How you been, brother?
Pretty good, dude. It's been a while. I miss you guys over here in the Shop Podcast. Centurion, Fuzzy. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen you, Fuzzy.
Like so about 40 minutes or so.
Yeah. Got my brother from another PongSoul. And
yeah, it's been a long time for me too.
Man. Yeah.
Sorry. He's over there seething right now. He hates it.
And then one of the hosts, podcast hosts I respect the most, PTK BLAM. Absolutely amazing what you've been doing here for so long. Just awesome show as always. I see familiar names in the chat ready to go to Doom Reaper. Shout out Sean Su. What just happened? This is going to be fun. I'm excited to be here. So thanks for allowing me to be here, because last week y'all were talking about the Game Awards stuff. And I was like, oh man, I want to talk.
That's the reason I full disclosure, that's the reason I reached out. I'm like, Mav last week was like, dude, I need to get in here. So I'm like, let me reach out to Mav because he wanted to get in here. But we appreciate you, bro. And shout out to everybody at FSP over there. I know Pong, you dreaded this whole, situation. I kind of threw it on you, to be honest with you, Pong. I do that to you quite often, but I don't consult Pong at all when it comes to the guests. I just bring him on the show and he has to deal with it. But either way, all love to everybody at FSP. Shout out to Caitlin. Went you guys' anniversary recently, so shout out to you and Caitlin as well, man. That's awesome, I believe, correct?
Yeah, it was on the 20th, so 3 days ago. Yeah,
awesome, man. Congrats on that whole situation. Hopefully we see that another 50, 100 years you guys together, man. That's always awesome. But glad to have you here, man. We gonna cook, chat. Let me just throw some quick hellos. We got Doom Reaper in here. We got Key. What's up, Shonsu? Mod of the year. What just happened? Everybody in here cooking up with us, man. We appreciate you guys. Hit the like button, man. But once again, Mav, thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with us this evening, sir. Thank you so much. We're gonna have a ball, guys. You know what we do here. So let's get to my three compadres, man. We got Mr. PongSoul, Pong Harvey. How you doing this week? Listen, before you say anything, because I know you're gonna bite my leg off.
No.
I apologize ahead of time.
You're apologizing to me already? Oh man, I got you trained already, PTK. I love this, brother.
Every week I'm doing this, man. This is getting ridiculous.
I think that you're just grateful that you're still hosting the show after I tried to lead a coup. I appreciate it, man. No, look, it's been a great Saturday. Started off with nearly a 4-hour show this morning with my brother and I, Steel Rain, and then I had the wife's birthday today, so we just got back just a little bit ago here. So I got to catch up on FSP, but of course we've got my other brother from another, Mav, here. I just give him a hard time, but man, I love doing shows with him. Obviously, that's why we started up another one on Thursdays, right? So it's great to have him here always, and 3 nights in a row, nothing wrong with that. So, but great to be here with you guys for sure, brothers. Of course, to end my Saturday night, I love it here. Otherwise, I've just been lost in Skyrim again. So fired it up just to kind of get the controls back down again, get used to the whole world again before the anniversary edition on the 11th of November. And guess what? God Howard got me. God Howard got me yet again. Now, to be fair, I have not played this game since the 360 days. I am not one of those people, even though it is one of the greatest games of all time. I don't constantly go back, and I have not made any other purchases of any of the other editions he's done. So that's why I hopped back into it, because it's been a long time.
You feel some type of guilt? That was like a guilty thing.
Yeah,
like,
because guilty? Yeah, kind of a little bit, but it's just one of those things. Like I put like 300-400 hours in, which I know for a lot of people isn't that much, but for me, since I'm a grazer, that's a lot, right? That's like 1,000 hours to somebody else, right? So,
Sure.
but I just hop back in just real quick. I was like, no, I'm just gonna download it, fire it up, get it ready, just kind of get used to it again. Guess what, man? This whole week, that's what I've been doing, man. Back to my lone wolf days again. Me and Skyrim, just the sense of exploration in Skyrim is just second to none. Like I've played so many other games since Skyrim that attempt to do this, and everybody's got their own take on the Western RPG. But then you go back to the masters, one of the greatest of all time, and you realize why it holds that title. And it is absolutely an incredible experience. And it's been so long, nearly 9 years, I think, since I touched it, that it's like brand new to me all over again. It really truly is just a special game. And it's just got me more hyped for Starfield. And I don't think that's possible. It's got me extremely hyped for whatever they do with Elder Scrolls 6, because Todd Howard and his A team, there's just nobody like them out there. They just do something different. So I absolutely love it. But otherwise, great to be here. Chat, phenomenal to see you all here. Let's get down to business. We got topics. We got another one of your famous polls of the week. So let's do this.
Oh, yeah. Now that you're done cashing that Bethesda check, shout out Todd. I appreciate the check. I'm sure you're sending them checks.
Hey, listen. Slowly over the next year, you're going to see me ramp up as I try to work my way towards a gift package of whatever the special edition Starfield is, right? Whatever that turns out to be, I want that sent to me. So you're going to see this ramp up.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you, man. We appreciate you so much. Shout out to Blue becoming a member of the shop patron, man. Thank you so much, Blue. It's my guy, man. Appreciate you, man, joining up once again. That's another thing you guys can do to support the channel as well. But we appreciate you just being here, your presence. We just love seeing you guys in the chat. Doesn't even matter what you're here for. We just appreciate you guys. Shout out to Caitlin as well. Let's go ahead and throw this over to my second compadre here, Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere, fresh off SSP. I see you got the vocal cords all warmed up. You got your cognac, you got your green tea, all that good stuff. So how you doing, bro?
I'm doing pretty good. And busy watching Twitter go crazy over some recent news and enjoying some good games here. Been playing some Insurgency and can't wait for Forza Horizon 5. It's a week or so now.
Oh yeah,
a little less than a week with the early access, but man, it's so great to be here. Was on Fun Speculation podcast earlier today talking about some of the news, and man, good to continue the conversation on it with Mav as well. So yeah, let's get into it.
And last but not least, my brother Centurion, how you been, bro?
What's up, guys? It is Saturday night. It is time to talk games. Here with my second fam, hanging out. This fine gentleman over here, Mr. PTK, exposed me to the old drug known as Division 2, and I have not been able to put it down. Been grinding out another character, almost level 30 already, and now trying to go for that.
That's music to me and Fuzzy's ears. I don't realize
dude,
that.
I'm actually having a lot more fun now this play around, because, dude, it's kind of like you did the same old motions back in the day, assault rifle, sniper rifle, just run around shooting and everything. Now I'm getting a little bit more creative and going Vanguard with a 12 gauge. And it's just so funny because normally you hold back in the Division because everything's a sponge. Mm-hmm. But I have completely altered my character to just be this rampaging machine that just runs up with a shield and just dumps a 12 gauge into somebody. And at this point, I'm just clearing rooms with my friends having a blast.
Nice.
But when we're not playing Division, I'm gaming by myself. I am still playing Far Cry 6. Absolutely fun game. Having a blast playing it. Beautiful to look at. There's always something going on to either make you laugh or just something to do. Those are pretty much the two games I've been flip-flopping back and forth between the two. So I've been stuck in Ubisoft land.
Oh, well, you know what? There's nothing wrong with that, brother. We appreciate you being on the show today, man. That's what we do. We play games here. So once again, shout out, chat, everybody hanging out. Appreciate you guys. Let's just dive right into the topics, man. We've been talking long enough. All right. So let's dive in. Poll of the week. Once again, these polls have been going crazy. If you're not following me already, please do on Twitter. All of that information is in the description below. Thank you guys so much for that. So the poll of the week, we're talking a little bit about VGAs. That is right around the corner, and I want to pick you guys' brains about these VGAs. So the poll of the week was the VGAs are around the corner, and we've heard about some possible surprises. What do you guys think is more likely to happen? So I had 3 options. One option was actually an other option, which it kind of allowed you guys to kind of tell me what you guys wanted to see. So Hellblade 2 reveal, studio acquisition, Kojima Xbox collab, or other. And Hellblade 2 reveal won. 52% of the people that voted said Hellblade 2, that's what they want to see or what we're going to see. So I had a couple cool options. We're starting with you, Mav. I don't know if you guys got into this at all, but I'm curious to hear your answer. So what do you think is going to be shown? Because we all feel like there's something going to be shown. There generally is. You know, every single VGA, we get some type of surprise from someone. So what out of those options, where do you think we're at, Mav?
What do I think is more likely?
Yes, out of those options. There's another option too. So we got to keep it open-ended.
Right. So out of these options here, the Hellblade 2 reveal has been talked about so much with the show from multiple people that it is going to be there, that it was held back from E3 and for this show as well. It was revealed originally at this show when they announced the Series X. I think Hellblade 2 is going to be there, and I think they're going to show the first gameplay segment of the game, and it's going to absolutely blow people's minds. And I think it's going to answer a lot of questions about the future of next-gen games and what they're going to look like on Xbox. And I'm super excited about it because I think this is going to actually happen. So let's go.
No, I the only thing about Hellblade 2 when I first heard about it, because you got to remember, from my understanding, they weren't as far along. Well, at least to my understanding, they didn't seem to be as far along. Now, once again,
I think part of it was they were using Unreal Engine 4.
They did transition to 5.
And they transitioned. So I think maybe like they had some of the core elements done, but like then you got to transfer it over and then update. So I mean, obviously they still got a lot more work to do. But I think they may have been able to put together a segment for us, right? One segment, kind of like a vertical slice, at least. Kind of like Sony does this a lot.
True.
You know, they only show you what they want you to see. You know, like the Coalition put together a whole Unreal Engine 5 little demo thing that was just for show at one of the showcases for some event not too long ago. It wasn't even a game, right? So that they can definitely put some work in and give us something that is more of a vision of what this game's going to look like, even if it's not all there yet. You know what I mean? And that's something that I think that Xbox has kind of gotten away from in the past, and I think it's smart marketing to do that. I'm hoping that that's kind of somewhat of what they're going to do, as long as they can meet the standard of what they're showing, right?
Absolutely.
I don't want them to like blow a bunch of smoke and like make us think it's going to be something, and then when it comes out it's not. But I really believe, based on what we've seen from this team in the past and what they're capable of, whatever they're going to show us is going to be pretty mind-blowing, and I have faith that they're going to meet those standards.
And remember, they did share some screenshots with us. You know, just I think those were in engine what we were shown. So I think we've seen some of the capability, and they're wizards. I mean, Hellblade 1 looked amazing, and that was done. People had to mortgage their homes to make that game, and that was done kind of in a rush. You know, they had a deadline, and they were just trying to get it out. You know, hopefully it was going to be able to turn a profit. This is meticulous. This is slow. This is not rush. This is with full backing from Xbox. So that's what gets me excited. And I see some chat throwing some things out there. Indiana Jones. I don't think Indiana Jones, possibly. I don't know how you feel about that as well, Mav.
I would say you never know.
The movie's next year, right? Is it movie next year?
Yeah, they got delayed a whole year.
Okay.
So I think it was supposed to be 2022, but it's gonna be 2023 now.
Okay.
So I don't know like how much that's going to tie in or not and stuff like that. And Bethesda did show Starfield for the first time with that little teaser reveal
True. Yeah.
early, but that was just a little teaser reveal. And I think they kind of already did that with the Indiana Jones with that thing they did on social media and with the little teaser video.
Yeah.
So I don't know if when the game's coming out, I think it could be further off, but I wouldn't be surprised. Like the Game Awards is a big venue, right?
Yes.
And it is a huge venue. It has, I think, just besides maybe E3, it has a bigger audience than just about anything. And it's a good way for any of these platform holders to draw in an audience that may not be used to playing in the platform. So if you got something big to show, some big surprise, this is a good place to do it. And Xbox has done that at this event.
Every single year.
They revealed the Series X here. They revealed Hellblade 2 here last year. What did they reveal last year? They revealed something big. I can't remember what it was.
Remember. Anybody chat, let us know. What did Xbox? I don't remember either. Anybody know on the panel?
They had something big last year at the Game Awards, and I can't freaking think of what it was.
What was it?
Perfect Dark, wasn't it?
Perfect Dark, yes.
There we go. Yeah, okay.
So after the Game Awards, everybody was talking about Perfect Dark, right? They understand the impact because you have a lot of PlayStation only gamers watching this. You have a lot of Nintendo people watching this. You have a lot of PC only gamers watching this. And if you were trying to draw an audience to get excited about your platform, it's a good place to show them something that they can't play anywhere else besides Xbox, right? And to show that at this event, they're going to have something, another new game, I believe. We'll see what it is. There's also a chance they could show Redfall gameplay for the first time because that's a 2022 title, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see. I don't know. I don't know what's going to be there, but I think there's going to be something really good.
Okay. No, I agree as well. I mean, where there's smoke, there's fire, and we've been hearing rumblings for 2-3 months now. Even prior midsummer, we were hearing rumblings about what's going on with the VGAs, and we know Xbox he likes to use the VGAs to make a big splash.
Could be that IO game, the IO Dragon game.
It could be. I mean, the timing of it is gonna really be the thing that I'm paying attention to, because if we look at the lineup for next year, they're so stacked for 2022. There's so many things that they could show that I'd be 100% comfortable with them showing. They have a lot to pick from. So I think that's where everybody's like, okay, what could they show? Because going into this, the VGAs, next year is going to be stacked for Xbox. So any of those games they have coming up next year, they could realistically show, maybe, more gameplay or something along those lines. Or like you said, even something brand new. I know the chat. Avowed is another one as well.
With Avowed, we know that people have been getting glimpses at it, right? So if they've been getting glimpses, maybe it's for a reason. Maybe there was something that they put together that they've been kind of getting some feelers on. You never know, man.
You never know. We in speculation town, by the way, chat. So buckle up, because I'm going to Pong next, and you already know what that means. Pong, mayor of Speculation Town, co-mayor. I'm sorry, Pong. Right?
Yeah. You got two of the mayors here.
So. Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I forgot my tuxedo. I'm sorry, guys. I apologize. I'm underdressed, but anyway,
our tours through Speculation Town are casual. PTK. You don't have to worry about tuxedo. Don't worry.
Go ahead, brother.
Hey, look. First of all, round of applause to PTK for 2 weeks in a row having a decent poll. I mean, that's right there is an accomplishment, brother. That's great. Sorry, I had to throw a little shit. Look, I had to pick Hellblade 2 as well, from the way that you phrased the question, obviously. The most likely. It's easy to go to town with the VGAs because it's turning into E3 Part 2 for a lot of companies, right? This is like, you're not going to get a bigger audience live, right? You're not going to get more sets of eyes from across the world in one location outside of E3. And that is what made the VGAs what they are right now. And shout out to Keeley for doing this, because again, people like to give him a hard time, but he is doing his own thing, pushing the industry forward and into the mainstream. And I got to give him a round of applause for that. So I think this is this is going to be odd. Like Mav was just kind of talking about and alluding to, this will be an odd showing if they show Hellblade 2, because I still am on the train that Hellblade 2 is 2023 at the earliest. I believe that with Ninja Theory, Xbox is taking the approach with Ninja Theory that they are the next Naughty Dog. And when you give you got to give a studio like that time to get their masterpiece together, because when this thing does come out, this is going to be the showpiece of all showpieces for the Series X. I think this is going to be the game that comes out if they make 2023. I think this will be the game that, like, we're going to see stuff in between, right? That's going to be like, wow, holy cow, we're starting to see
one in a week. Forza 5.
Yeah, exactly. That's still cross-gen, right?
Yeah.
But I'm saying current gen only games, right?
Fair. Okay,
so Stalker 2 is going to give us a glimpse. They're Unreal 5 as well. But I think Hellblade 2 is going to be the one when it drops. And when they match that trailer or even exceed that trailer that they showed us with actual gameplay, that's when we're all going to be like, okay, now we're hitting on all cylinders. This is why we all bought the Series X, right? So this is going to be an early showing. And I know Phil has talked about this, that they don't want to do these early showings per se anymore. But I think Hellblade 2 is special. They're going to be coming off of the 20th anniversary that they're going to do in November. They've already talked about they're not going to show anything new there. Right. They're not going to, they said no new games, not that they're going to not show any of the games that we already know about, but no new games there. So they're going to come off of that
This is at the anniversary.
Excuse me?
The celebration.
Yeah, at the anniversary.
Okay.
Yeah, the celebration. Yeah. So they're going to give us, they're going to run through the history, how we got from here, from 20 years ago to now in 2021. And they might show us a little bit of the future. But I think the VGAs, they really could do it with Hellblade 2 and show us kind of the future, and maybe Avowed, like Mav just said, that too as well. They could use the VGAs to kind of give us a glimpse even further ahead, even though they don't like to do that. But they've got so much content right now. They could show us Hellblade 2, give us a glimpse of they've been back in the studio now. They've got the motion capture up and running. They've just spent millions upon millions of dollars on this new studio, state-of-the-art motion capture, like state-of-the-art, because that's what Ninja Theory is all about, right? So this, to give us a little tiny glimpse into what they've been working on and what they've got making there, just to prove that trailer from the VGAs, before, is going to be representative and maybe even a little bit lower than what we're going to get at the end of this. Just give us a glimpse, wrap it all back up, and we don't see anything until maybe E3 2023, right? Yeah. When they're getting closer to launch time. And I think that would be a love letter to the fans, because the fans have been ultra patient. A lot of people have been waiting on this Hellblade 2, and I think might be Phil's little gift to us to say, here, I know you've all been waiting. There's been a lot going on with the pandemic and everything else. It really hurt Ninja Theory's production process, because they are a motion capture studio through and through, and they needed that, and they weren't able to do that stuff. They're transitioning to Unreal 5, but here you go. This is what you can come to expect from one of our best studios. Get ready, just be patient, but here's a little taste. And I think that might be what they use this for here. The Kojima, imagine this. And again, it's easy to go wild, but you gotta realize the VGAs only has so much time, and Sony's going to be there big too. I expect Sony to come big too. So there's only going to be so much that can be shown. But if let's say you get Hellblade 2, let's say you get a little bit of Avowed, even though I think it's early for Avowed as well. I don't think Avowed's until 2023. And then all of a sudden you get the Kojima announcement. Holy cow.
I told you, Chad, if Kojima walks out and an Xbox logo pops up on the stage, I'm selling my kidney.
Could you imagine?
I'm going to the black market.
You imagine Kojima walks out on the stage and stands there, is about to speak, and be like, wait 1 second, and then Phil Spencer walks in from the other side.
Right?
You're not doing it. So you already painting the picture. That's like
what I'm saying. People gotta hire us.
Video.
People gotta hire us from these podcasts. We have the best ideas in the world, man. I'm telling you
right now. I mean, you know what the funny thing is? I wasn't gonna even bring that up, but and we don't know what's going on with that. There's been so much of this Kojima stuff. I don't know if you want to touch on that either, Pong.
Yeah. That the Kojima stuff, again, Grubb still says that it's in process. That was his latest update. The Kojima stuff it's going to be a complex contract with him, depending on how they do this, because it sounds like he still wants to have his freedom to work elsewhere. But see, to me, that doesn't make sense, because there's been rumors of him with Sony again, too, still doing the Silent Hill thing, and it just doesn't make sense, because Kojima's a one project kind of guy. He is so hands-on when he is involved. And if he's going to do this with Xbox, this is going to be his pet project. He's been waiting for years to do, because he's wanted to do this cloud kind of deal, right? He's wanted this opportunity. He was working with Stadia to make it happen. So I can't imagine him splitting himself between multiple projects. So I'm assuming this contract is going to be complex. I'm assuming Xbox wants some assurances that this is going to be his pet project, that he's not going to let it die on the vine, or move on to other things during the process, and not have one of those situations. And maybe they want to wrap him up for more than one project, just to be able to announce that. So, it's going to depend. It's obviously a very fluid situation. It's going to depend if they've got the contract signed, if they're going to announce it to the VGAs. I think that it's the perfect spot. So if it is done, if there's any chance, this is the place they will do it, and we will see it. But if we get those 3 announcements on the VGAs, man, it's game over. It is a win-win-win situation for Xbox. And not that that's going to happen. We don't know. But if they could pull that off, it'd be like having a second little mini E3 for them. It would carry them into the new year on a very big wave on top of Forza Horizon 5 and Halo both being there. It's going to be crazy.
And it's the day after Halo comes out as well. People forget it's the 9th. Then Halo comes out the 8th. So, I don't know if that, the momentum going into the VGAs, that's another thing to keep an eye out as well. So let me go ahead and throw a couple quick shout outs in the chat. We got Gerald. What's up, Gerald? We got other Zinc. We got Nick. Shout out Nick's What Just Happened. Doom Reaper. Blue, obviously. K Asante. What's up, my guy? Appreciate you watching, man. And once again, everybody, retweet that link. Let everybody know the Shop Podcast is live. Pile on in here. Have some fun. Do some gaming talk, man. We're kicking it. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Fuzz. Get your opinion. Now, me and Fuzz, we've talked about this, and we talk about a lot of things. And sometimes those things do actually come true. Not exactly how we think about it, but sometimes it gets very close. So where are we at on this whole, where we want to see at the VGAs, and what's generally going to be possible as far as seeing pertaining to the list that I put up?
Well, I'll start with what I would really like to see. And I voted other, even though, yes, Hellblade, with a lot of the, recent, not really rumors, but like leaks and some buzz about it recently, it's almost a guarantee that it's going to wind up showing, hopefully like some gameplay or something like that at the VGAs. But I voted other primarily because I want to see something from Compulsion Studios. I want to see the game that, when they asked Phil Spencer last year sometime, what game was he most excited that we may not know about or hasn't been announced yet? And he had mentioned Compulsion Studios, the game that they're working on. We know they did We Happy Few, and a lot of people probably looked at Phil sideways when they announced what was it, back in 2017 or so? Yeah, the acquisition of
people kind of blew it off. But think about Double Fine. People didn't think about Double Fine either.
True. I was one of them. I was like, is that? And then I played Psychonauts too, and it's like, yeah. I mean, it's definitely, now we can see where a lot of these studios that they've acquired, the direction that they probably already had, they just needed the extra funding or the extra support. And with Microsoft coming in, I think that's what we'll be pretty surprised, or hopefully we'll be pretty surprised by what Compulsion turns out. But I really want to see something from them at these VGAs, and I'm hoping that's one of those that does make an appearance. Now, I'm going to agree with Mav and Pong as far as like with Hellblade, possibly Avowed, possibly Redfall as well, because those we've only gotten like maybe a CGI trailer or a taste of what it could be. Possibly seeing gameplay, which I'm under the impression Redfall is probably going to be the first of those to release, and then probably Avowed, and then Hellblade 2 will probably be the later of the 3. But seeing any of those would be a bonus. And then I think one of the other choices on your list, as far as Kojima, I think that makes an appearance. It's at that point now where at least announce it, because there's been so many rumors between Kojima and PlayStation and Blue Box and
Oh
whatnot.
Lord.
It's like it's probably best to kind of settle where the Stadia game that he was working on before is going to wind up, especially considering Microsoft hired, I guess, his liaison that was
Yeah.
at Stadia. So it only makes sense that, okay, if anybody is really watching this, they can probably put two and two together, but just make it official. Just, I'm not saying put a ring on it or anything, but at least announce it to the world, like, hey, by the way, because considering Keeley is one of his biggest fans as well, it'd be a perfect setup to announce it at the VGAs. And I think that's what we can expect, at least on the Microsoft end of things, at the upcoming VGAs. Hopefully Compulsion, even if it's just a CGI trailer to kind of give us a rough idea, because we're hearing it's like a third person over the shoulder story driven narrative game, that hashtag just one type deal that Cognito will say we need, as far as like just give us one of those games that doesn't have to be a carbon copy of Sony, but something similar to at
Yeah.
least be as
To
I
round
think it
out the
was Big Cloud
portfolio.
Gaming would say, in the conversation. You want to at least be there to have something that people can look to, or whether it be for comparison's sake or to at least draw that interest. If they have a certain type of game over there, you at least want to have something to possibly interest those that are looking at the competition to come to your camp as well. But the Compulsion's the biggest one I'm looking for. I'm already sold on Hellblade 2. If they can come remotely close to what that CGI was that they showed us 2 years ago at the VGAs,
Yeah.
I'm already sold. That the Hellblade 1 was a phenomenal game. Yes, it was a small experience, but it was a great experience. The audio, the atmosphere, the the combat. Yeah, I know some people didn't really care for the combat. I was a fan of the combat because I like hack and slash games, but yeah, I'm already kind of sold on that game. Just
And
want
we've
some
already
insight on
seen
Compulsions.
what a little bit of coin, a little bit of backing from Xbox can do to a game. Look at
Oh yeah.
Psychonauts 2, from the state that it was in, as far as being a just being a what was it? The game was in pretty much what was it, like a
Oh,
crowdfunded
like
game? I'm sorry.
yeah, it was a Kickstarter
Yeah,
kind of
Kickstarter
deal.
is what I was thinking of. Yeah, so a little bit of backing, the game ends up being amazing. So imagine what they're able to, Ninja Theory is able to do with this game. We've already seen they're mocap kings. They do the
Yeah.
mocap thing. We've already seen the in-game screenshots. We've already seen screenshots from Project Mara. They switched over to Unreal 5. I think it's definitely going to be a visual showcase. I agree
Oh,
with
yeah.
Mav and Pong. That is definitely going to be a visual showcase as well. So I think
Definitely.
Hellblade 2 makes a lot of sense. As far as in the timeline, it does make sense to see a little bit of something from that game. Maybe the Kojima thing does work out for us. I don't want to take up your time, but go ahead.
No, that's all I really have. I
Okay.
just really want Compulsion to at least get their spot in the sunlight kind of thing.
Yeah.
Ninja Theory, we already know. We have a pretty good idea with Project Mara and Hellblade, what they're capable of. We already pretty much have an idea of what Arcane is capable of. Looking forward to when Deathloop comes to Xbox as well. Played it on PlayStation and enjoyed it. So things are shaping up really well with a lot of these acquisitions and what they're putting out. So can't wait.
Awesome. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Centurion, man. We talking VGAs before we wrap this first topic up, man. So what do you think we're gonna see on that list, bruh?
Well, when you put your poll out, there was the obvious choice of obviously Hellblade. That for me, that was at least a given that they're probably going to show something there. But I had to vote on the acquisition thing because we've heard all these myths, rumors, legends of how busy Microsoft has been behind the scenes. We've got the Take-Two, the guy over at Take-Two slipping up and acting like him and Phil Spencer have been buddy for a very long time. I'm really looking forward to the, because let's be honest, VGA, I forget who said it here. The VGAs are a time to get players of all platforms tuning in and your eyes on your platform specifically. And so I know that Microsoft at least wants to recapture that jaw-dropping moment, especially the night they came out and they're like, yeah, that was Hellblade 2, and that's the Series X over there. And everybody was completely mind blown about the Series X existence, including Jeff Keighley. I mean, Jeff Keighley was even like, really? They did that right here? So I'm pretty sure that Microsoft wants to do something that's going to be another mic drop, capture the show moment. And I'm looking forward, maybe not to exactly to the tune of like, hey, we bought somebody again, but more like exploring some of the partnerships that they talk so highly about. We're talking Square Enix and other companies that they are having partnerships with. Excuse me, not Square Enix, Crystal Dynamics. Let's get that straight. My bad. But I'm just really looking forward to what Microsoft has been doing behind the scenes to give us more content, more amazing games, and to really drive the industry forward. I really feel that's what Microsoft is probably wanting to do. We all saw, the infamous tweet that became untweeted. That was like a oops, with the whole chicken thing and the caption of the Twitter thing. Microsoft is wanting to come out and tell us something, but they're just really hesitant on exactly how they're going to deliver that message. And I'm really looking forward to whatever Microsoft does put out at the VGAs, because it's honestly a time to just celebrate gaming, the ability to all, it's just going to drive the industry forward, create more competition, create more great games, experiences, and everything in between for us to all just sit around and chat about. And I'm just more curious on what Microsoft has been doing behind the scenes when it comes to their acquisitions. Phil Spencer's alluded they aren't done yet. We keep hearing all these talks about who they're working with and who they want to partner with. And there's even been a lot of talks about some supposed buyouts that Microsoft seems to keep coming up in the conversation with some of these companies when they talk about who's going to buy them. So I'm just looking forward to that.
Okay, that's another thing too. Acquisitions, obviously, acquisition season. Shout out Pong. But so you never know. That's another thing that can happen too. Now, traditionally, an acquisition at the VGAs, I don't know if that type of announcement.
I don't know if they're gonna be like. That's why I said I don't know if it's gonna be like, hey, we bought somebody. But I would really like for him to go into detail on like what they're doing with Crystal Dynamics and some of the other companies that they're having these exploratory partnerships with, because I'm just interested in what Microsoft is wanting these companies to deliver.
I agree. I think we're all interested in seeing it. And it's awesome. And the fact that we're sitting here, we have this energy going into the holiday and going into next year. This train ain't stopping for Xbox. This is just getting started. We just left the station. So this is super exciting. We'll see what happens at the VGAs, but let's continue on with the show and move on to the next topic, man. So we transition right from one celebration at the VGAs into the next one for Xbox. So we're talking a little bit about the anniversary, guys. So chat, let us know what you guys feel about the Xbox November anniversary. What do you guys want to see there? But we're gonna talk about it right now. So I'm throwing this over to you, Mav, and I believe you guys talked about this a little bit earlier on FSP. So I don't know if you want to just piggyback off what you already said, but this Xbox anniversary event's happening. We thought something would happen for the anniversary. I mean, it's Halo's 20-year anniversary as well. A lot of milestones, are happening around that time. A lot of big things for Xbox. So not necessarily what do you want to see, but just kind of what are your expectations? Because I've already seen some people saying, oh, well, I'm not going to get my expectations up. It could just be, a bunch of nothing. Just kind of where are you at on it, Mav?
We're not going to get new game announcements at this show.
I'm not expecting that either.
They've already come out and actually even said that, I believe, on the post. So what I'm expecting is kind of what they said, a look back at the history of Xbox, which I'm actually excited to see what they come up with to celebrate that.
Me too.
Like, I want to know, like, is it just going to be one like montage, or like, are we going to get like an orchestra that's going to make performances of games, or like there could be, who knows exactly what all they're going to do for this, but they've come up with some really unique things in the past. So I remember when they did the Xbox launch event thing, they had that like 3D Xbox thing with the hologram show or whatever, right?
Didn't they have drones or something too?
I don't know, man. It's kind of weird, but I think they're going to go all in on this and make this kind of a bigger deal. and I'm excited to see what they come out with. Now, it doesn't mean we're not going to get any kind of gaming news, right? I think there could be.
True.
Maybe we're going to get that Game Pass number that everybody's wondering, right? Or maybe they're going to let us know about how many projects they have in the work, so that they could like really dive into the future as well as where they're going for the next 20 years, right? With kind of tell us what their
True.
plan is, and maybe give a montage trailer or something like that of like the games that we know about, right? And maybe another look at some of those, because they did say no new game announcements, but they didn't really say necessarily that we're not going to get any information on any of the other
True.
games coming.
True.
So that's possible as well. But I think the main thing to take away is we're going to get a look at Halo Infinite campaign.
Oh.
It's going to be there.
So this is the thing, Math. This is the thing, Math. I'm in that. I'm on board for the Halo Infinite. I thought this is something that they should do anyway, like months ago. So I'm assuming you're 100% full board that this is definitely happening at this anniversary event. We're definitely seeing Halo Infinite campaign.
100%. I'm like,
okay. All the chips on the table.
Unless it happens randomly before then, right? If it happens between today and the 15th, by the end of the end of the show on the 15th, we will have seen Halo campaign gameplay. 100%.
So I'm gonna flip the script. Do you so is it possible? I mean, there's no way they don't show it, right? Is that kind of where we're getting this from?
They will get absolutely annihilated and
I
killed.
I agree. And they just don't. And so if they don't show it there, they don't have any other time to show it.
Exactly.
The game comes out on the 8th.
I mean, they could show like do a random thing again, or like another Halo event, like on their YouTube channel, right? But they're not going to have the grandiose amount of people watching that as they would the 20th anniversary special, where you're going to have the 20th anniversary of Halo as well. And in that post, they say they're celebrating the history of Xbox and Halo, right? So they're already setting up the expectation
keywords
that Halo is going to be talked about at this show, and I think it's going to play a huge focal point with the history of Halo as well. So what I'm hoping was to get like this build up of like this Halo music played by some orchestra or something, and like get everybody hyped, and then lead into Halo Infinite soundtrack music playing live with the Halo Infinite campaign, new gameplay. And this was said on one of our shows. I can't remember who said it, but this was absolutely brilliant. I think it was Psycho. It may have been Psycho. I can't remember who it was.
Shout out to Psycho. He was in here a minute ago, or they were in here a minute ago. Or
whoever it was is brilliant, because what if they didn't show new segment of gameplay, because I don't want to give too much away, but they showed the same segment
upgraded
with the difference between now and then a year ago.
Pretty cool.
That would be pretty cool.
I forgive me, I don't remember who said that on the show, but like that would make a lot of sense. Regardless of what it's going to be, we're going to get Halo Infinite is going to make a big impact at this thing, and I'm super excited about that, and whatever other surprises they may have in store.
Oh, absolutely. And one thing I think I'm with you, Mav, on the Halo thing. I think there's really no other time to show it, and this is the best time to show it. And I didn't even pay attention to what you said as far as they did mention Halo as well in that post, specifically Halo. So that does mean something. And in my opinion, I think that's intentional when you do that, when you put Halo, because it could have just been, Xbox Showcase, 20-year anniversary.
Right. And it is the 20th anniversary of Halo. So like one of the biggest gaming franchises, and Psycho in the chat did say that it was him that said that. And I thought that was like really clever. It's like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because if you're going to make an impact and prove something, right? Showing something different that people aren't familiar with, like people may just go and try and pick that apart. But if you can show them a direct comparison, right? Then people, like, okay, well, here's before and here's after. Like, hey, everybody that was a haters, take a look at that.
I'm on board with that.
But we'll see what we get. Regardless, it's gonna be amazing, and I'm excited. So it can't happen soon enough. Was it 3 weeks away?
I think so. I don't remember the exact date. Chat.
15th.
15th. Okay. So yeah. So I'm on board with the Halo stuff. I'm absolutely on board. And me and Fuzz, we've had a fact just in general here on the shop. We've talked about this for weeks now. Show after show after show talked about when is this going to happen. At some point, it has to. Let me go ahead and get some quick shout outs real quick before I throw this over to Pong. Shout out to Enzo, Insane Cakes. Once again, subscribe, hit the like button if you guys have not. What's up, Zinc, man? Just throwing some quick shout outs in the chat. This show sucks. Matt, what's going on? Appreciate you guys falling in here, man. Show some love. Support everybody here on the panel as well. Follow us all here. But let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Pong. And once again, Pong, you know, I think I'm pretty 100% sure you've been on the hill about Halo being shown sometime soon as well. But just kind of what are you expecting out of this event?
Oh yeah, for sure. Again, I think they're going to give us. If it was me, again, I have the perfect plan in place. Phil, I'm available. I come cheap. I come cheap, Phil. Compared to the rest of your execs, I come very cheap. So if you just want to put me in charge of these shows, let me do it, right? So I may spoil Christmas for everybody because I'm just going to show everybody everything. But you know what? That's okay. You're going to have a lot of hyped up people. Look, with the 20th anniversary, I believe that you definitely, again, the main focus is going to be on where they came from over the past 20 years, as it should be, right? A celebration of the 20 years of Halo. And Xbox, right? So I think Halo being your pillar franchise and on its way back, to something new, something different, a 10-year plan in Infinite. Obviously, that has to be the focus. They've said it. It's going to be there for sure. But I think you focus on the past, right? You bring it to current day, what's going on now. Give us a small glimpse into the future. With the current day stuff and the past stuff, you talk about the backwards compatibility upgrades. I think we're going to get a whole new list of backwards compatibility games. I think Jason Ronald and his team are ramping that back up again. But then you focus on Halo and Halo Infinite and what it's meant to Xbox, because without Halo, there is a world or a universe that does exist where Halo failed. And Xbox probably is not here because of that.
Absolutely.
Halo is just, it changed the games literally in so many ways, pun intended there, that you can't underscore the importance that it has to Xbox. So yes, this becomes a Halo celebration at the end of this show. And they go full bore in. Love Mav's idea about a live orchestra with the Halo music. That would be perfect. Maybe have a chorus there, whatever choir there, whatever you want to have. But you make it a big deal. And then I think you do show off that single player. It's the perfect time, about 30 days away from launch. And you just do it. And you give the world exactly what they've been asking for. Not everybody. I know there's people in the chat who would rather not see it. Hey, that's cool with me too. That's cool with me too. Again, I'm the kid that goes hunt down my Christmas presents beforehand, right? So I want to know what's coming. So I want to see what they've done. I don't, Psychonaut, it's an idea to go back and show that exact same thing over again with the new improvements because it's still in people's minds. I almost... it is a great idea, but I want them to show off a totally different part of this world, because supposedly this is going to be a hub style world, semi-open world, whatever you want to call it. Show me a whole different part in all of its glory, right? Just cleanse the palate of that first showing by giving me something completely different, right? But show me the diversity within the ring, right? And give me that feeling with all the bells and whistles that you have been doing, adding the polish that you've been adding to it, and give me that experience outside of what we originally saw. That would be cool as well to me. Maybe some sense of the exploration as far as just finding some random spot, some random post, something, using the grapple to get into like a base or something, whatever the case may be. I
like that idea.
That to me, would also be a great idea. I like both. I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand why you'd want to go back and show that original and then show the update. That would be special too. But I just think a wholly different part of the ring with a different set of circumstances to kind of show off everything you're kind of trying to do with Infinite, give us a better sense of the scale of Infinite. That would go over well as well. So I think they've got a chance here to really wow everybody, get everybody really, really hyped. This hype train is nonstop, like you said, PTK. This is not something there's no way with the amount of content that Xbox now currently is in possession of that we're not going to have some type of hype. They're dominating every news cycle, it seems. And I think that this show here is going to carry them in along with the VGAs, carry them into the new year in a way that we have not seen in a very, very long time. And that is going to mean more subscribers in Game Pass, the uptick that they want to see from Forza Horizon 5 and Halo. That goes to these kinds of shows as well, because it's so important to get it out to the masses that, hey, if you haven't seen what Xbox has got going on, you need to start paying attention, because there's something really, really big happening over here. And if you're a video gamer of any kind, you need to be taking a look at Xbox. And I think they're going to continue to use these shows to push that. But the celebration of the history, past, present, and a little bit of the future, that's where I think you go with this show, and then just end it with the Halo just blowout, right? This is everything you guys have been waiting for. This is Halo. You've already had your chance in multiplayer to test the flighting. You guys love that. Just wait until you get a load of the single player experience as well. And
I got a question for Pong.
Yeah.
What if the visual improvement on the campaign? I'm going to say something that's going to be like really bad. Okay. What if the visual improvement and the campaign is not that big? Should at that, like, I'm thinking about that now. What if it's not going to blow people away? Should at that point maybe they don't show it, because maybe you got to play it to experience it. Because if they show something that looks even similar to what they showed last year, like with the quality wise, that'd be really bad.
At this point, you pull the trigger, man. Whatever you got to show.
Yeah, you got to show.
It doesn't even
you
matter.
You show your card.
Like, it's too late. It's too late. I mean,
if you pull back and you turtle, it's going to be even worse. Yeah, because then that's what
I was thinking.
You can't
actually isn't impressive.
Yeah. Right. No, I don't think you can do that, man. No matter what, at the end of the day, there's no way that's the case. There's no way the flighting on the multiplayer looks the way it does and the campaign looks worse. Yeah. It's not possible. It's never happened. If it does happen, my God, just burn down 343 and start over, okay? Because you got bigger issues if that's the case. So
that gave me anxiety asking that question, man. What the hell
I know, that's what I was saying. No, because the reason is because I enjoyed what they showed last year. I wasn't freaking out.
Right. No, because the gameplay was great, right? The gameplay was everything that everybody expected, right? That was a Halo gameplay experience that they were showing on screen. It was just the little details that were missing. But we've already seen some screenshots, Matt, from some of the other we've gotten screenshots out there, and the detail that they put in the armor and the weapons and some of the detail into the environment, we already know that that's much better than what we saw. So we can only imagine that Craig has gotten a facelift and is now looking fantastic.
Supposedly he looks great now. That's what they said. Like,
right.
So
and that's what I'm expecting. Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see. But Mav, I don't ever ask that question.
I'm not. Here's the thing. I'm actually posing that question more so for some people in the chat and that are out there that are saying they don't want to see it, because if it's like the reason I think that they need to show it as well is because of all of if they hadn't shown it a year and a half ago and it caused the issues that it did, then right now they wouldn't have as many questions to answer, because the Halo Infinite flight would have answered for itself, right?
True.
But the campaign, the lasting taste that a lot of people that are upset with what they saw over a year ago have those questions still, right? And it's like, I'm curious how when they show it, it's going to be this thing when they show it is going to be poured over with a fine-tooth comb more than any gameplay trailer in the history of gaming.
You don't think they know that, Matt? There's no way.
But they should have known that last year.
Come on. So hindsight is always 2020, Matt. We're saying that 12 months later, though. Like, hindsight is always 2020. Like, I don't know if they thought that they were going to get that response. And to be fair, a lot of that response was coming from people that aren't even Halo fans anyway.
That's true. That's true, right? Like people that like me that are watching, I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. I mean, I had chills thinking about running around in this open world, like that grapple shot and the mechanics, everything look so amazing. And then you saw a lot of these people pour over it with a fine tooth comb and be like, oh, look at this cannon fodder character. That his face doesn't look good. And then you're like, every game looks like that. You know what I mean? Like,
so I think, Mav, not sorry to cut you off, but I think so if we're looking at the flight test, right, Mav, those went on. You could say that's about as good as a flight test / beta has ever been, right?
I agree, yeah. And in fact, I don't know any game where the multiplayer looks better than the single player as well. Right?
I don't know any game either. So if we're basing off just the 30-year history we've been playing video games, or 25-year history you've been playing games, I think we're okay. I think we're okay. Like just based off of just history and how this usually works as far as like multiplayer and campaign. And to me, another thing too that I got excited for was the actual story. Like the little clip they gave us of this whole new story, I think that's brought a lot of people back into it because it created that level of intrigue. We got new AI, what's going on between Chief and this new AI. People are reinvested in the story of Halo. I think that's more important than the visual, because the story is going to carry you. Like the visuals, come and go. We'll see other games that are going to look better than Halo. We might see some. We're probably going to see a couple next year that look better than Halo. That
100%.
The story is going to carry Halo. So if people are invested in the story, people are invested in what's going on with Chief, that's the key. That's what they needed to get people to be excited about, was the story. And I think they've done that for me as a Halo fan. I can't speak for everybody here on the panel, but we're going to get to some other people here. We got some other topics we want to discuss. We can talk about Halo all day, guys. So let's throw this over to you, Fuzz, real quick, then we'll get to then we'll move on. But where are you at with this, Fuzz? What do you want to see at this event, man?
I'm kind of with you guys. I'm kind of expecting to see, some of the Halo campaign. It's not a have to have, but I kind of expect it, with it being an anniversary for Halo and Xbox. It just makes sense. I mean, I don't think there's a better timing that they could plan for it. I mean,
they don't have any other time. They don't have any. They don't have any other time. Realistically,
they could show it sooner than that, but I think for timing's sake, showing it at the 20-year anniversary makes the most sense. Other than that, I think Mav said it earlier, where this is how you would just use this event, since it's not going to be any new announcements or anything like that per se. Use this time to not really advertise, but like show anyone that hasn't been on Xbox in the past 20 years, or may have been on Xbox and then left, the previous generation, or at some point or another, why they need to come back home, or why they should pick up this brand. They're going to go through 20 years of some of the, tentpole titles, and, show some of the stuff, maybe some updates of some of the stuff that's already been announced. But I think this is going to be the key time to really focus on Halo. And the flight, I know some people were up in arms not too long ago about hearing about the ray tracing still being like a post-launch thing, when they had already said that from before. It's just that it's, the 1 year delay. I guess a lot of people assume, oh, well, it'll be included in that 1 year delay. It'll get fixed or it'll get done. But I don't remember anybody complain about no ray tracing being present when they were, in the flight. It was like the last thing that people complained about, or I don't think anyone complained about, was no ray tracing. It was more like, okay, I got kicked, or I didn't get, into the flight. That was probably the biggest complaint, was not getting into the first two. And then the last one, it was a lot more open, but nonetheless, the gameplay was on point. The visuals for multiplayer were on point. Just everything about that flight pretty much set in stone that this game is going to release in tip-top shape for the multiplayer. And like you guys said, in 30 years, I don't think there's ever been a multiplayer that comes out looking better than the single player. Usually the single player, they can turn everything up to 11 as far as like graphical intensity, and you kind of dial things back a little bit for the multiplayer so the frame rate's consistent, or the AI or whatever is going on in the background is stable. It's more so the focus of the number of players and server viability and stuff like that. But I think the 20-year anniversary, show the campaign or some form of update, even if it's screenshots, although screenshots wouldn't translate better than a video. And then show the history of Xbox, and make it not necessarily an ad because that would be corny, but make it so anyone, like I said, anyone that's been on Xbox, left in the Xbox One generation because it seemed like they were going in the different direction than what a lot of people were expecting after the 360, give them or show them a reason why they need to return. And that's all I think that this 20th anniversary should really focus on.
I agree. And I think we're going to get all the history stuff. Another idea, and I know Doom, shout out to Doom. He threw this in the chat earlier. He said that wouldn't it be cool, and I'm going to run this by you too, Mav. What if they showed a bunch of like a montage of the Halo 1 campaign and kind of transition all the way through the years, Halo 1, 2, 3, Reach, all the different Halos, and then ended on Infinite's campaign?
Yes.
What do you think about that idea?
I think it'd be amazing.
I think that would be cool
go through
too.
1, 2, 3, Reach with the trailer.
Yeah,
dude, that would be incredible. But what would be even cool? Maybe even take it a step further. What if you took a similar segment of gameplay, like in-game gameplay, and progress? Like, let's say you're like a Chief riding on the Warthog or something, and you're going through Halo 1, and then it shifts and transitions into Halo 2, and you keep going, and then shifts and transitions into Halo 3, and you keep going, and it keeps showing the ring or whatever. Then you got Reach, and you got 4, and then 5, and then it transitions into the beginning of the Halo Infinite gameplay trailer, where he's still going in that Warthog, but now you're in Halo Infinite, and you see this whole world in front of you, and the camera zooms in, and then you become Chief, and then you just step out onto the ring, and then it shows like those space rhinos and all that crap. Let's go. I want to see that.
You speaking to my heart. You speaking to my heart right now. I'm telling you.
But the key is the music, man, because if you put a live orchestra with that, or with this Halo music, dude, Halo music is it can move you emotionally and get you hyped for something just about more than any other gaming franchise. There's something about it, man. It's just like that. You hear those monks chanting, and you get the it just starts building up and building up this anticipation, and then it gets then it just hits, dude. So I need that in there as well.
Oh yeah, we gotta have it. So let's get to Centurion. Get your opinion real quick, Centurion. What do you want out of this event? What do you think we're seeing in November, bro?
Well, what are we gonna see? Obviously, we're probably gonna see something Halo related. Everybody here in the chat, the show, everybody is excited to see something Halo. But I look at things a little differently. We're talking about the anniversary of the Xbox. So let's talk about the original Xbox, first console to integrate an actual internal hard drive and a local area network card to basically online gaming. We all know the PS2 had the ability to go online, but it was a proverbial that you had to go out, physically buy and install on the back of the PS2. The PS2 did not come out of the box ready to play online, where the original Xbox did. And to kind of help fuel that, we used Halo, and that gave us some of the best multiplayer experiences you hear people talk about, because it was like that time to drag not only your console but also your TV over to your friend's house and to somehow electric octopus everything together and basically have some really fun LAN parties basically. And then we transitioned into the Xbox 360, where they took things even further, and we had the Xbox Live Network explode. And they showed, because everybody complained, why are you charging for online connectivity? And Xbox showed why in reliability, security, ease of use. I mean, we can change our names, all that stuff. It was a properly built network, and they really hit the ground running with that. And it really came to a culmination with Halo 3. I remember turning on Halo 3 during the Xbox 360 era, and you'd get that little cool map of the world, and everything would show you where people are playing from all around the world. I got to meet a really cool guy who was a Marine in Hawaii, another guy from New Zealand. That it was really interesting to talk to people from all around the world and play games and celebrate gaming with them. And they also pushed and fueled the idea of bringing your entertainment onto the console by having platforms like Netflix start showing up on the Xbox 360. They also started trying to slowly transition people into the concept of buying their games digitally, which everybody freaked out about. And we went into the Xbox One generation where they took things even further and pushed gaming even further of like, hey, we're not going to start leaving games behind or just have this like parse backwards compatibility like other guys. We're really going to push backwards compatibility and really want you guys to feel like your purchases will be carried forward with you because we want you to buy your games digitally. So they came out and they really hit the ground running with backwards compatibility. And then obviously Phil Spencer had to change a few things due to some laziness in the hardware development due to people in charge, Donnie D. And anyways, so he pushed the idea of using custom hardware in these consoles with the, I believe it was called the Scorpio chip or whatever. Basically, the whole thing that basically made the Xbox One X what it was. A piece of proprietary hardware, not off the shelf, that helped basically capture that power crown. And it was a direction that Microsoft always wanted to keep. And that is why with the consoles, the Xbox One S and the Xbox One X, custom architecture. We also have integration of technology in there that rivals PC gaming. I mean, on the Xbox Series X, they split the motherboard and put it on an L shape. We all see how Microsoft has really pushed the industry forward when it comes to hardware design. But we also have been the idea of inclusivity versus exclusivity. Microsoft has always tried to push inclusivity. We've had games appear on PC and Xbox, broadening the scope of the ecosystem and the player base that play these games. They have also pushed inclusivity by being the first hardware developer for gaming to come out and create controllers for the disabled with the oh my gosh, Fuzzy, it's escaping me. What's the name of the controller? The adaptive controller?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The adaptive controller. Like, we understand that there is third-party companies out there that make controllers for handicapped people, but Microsoft was the first actual hardware developer that made their own console that decided to also make their own adaptive controller for this. They took it even further by creating the most advanced controllers that we know of with the Elite 1 and the Elite 2. They've also been able to really push disabled gaming even further by like celebrating it. I mean, we just recently saw the celebration of disabled gamers and how Microsoft really wants to push the industry forward and not create these walled off sacred gardens. Bringing it back to Halo, though, Halo has been a platform that they have used on each one of their consoles to help keep pushing it further. And throughout that, we have seen the evolution of the Halo franchise. Now with Halo Infinite, we're going to see a free-to-play multiplayer that is going to take advantage of this system that they've been building for a very long time when it comes to the online network. But we're also going to have changes in gaming that now reflect the power that these consoles can push out. I was completely not bothered by what was shown in the original Halo campaign footage. Because to me, it was just like, oh, this is just a build. This isn't the finished product. Anybody who saw that and was like, this is what the game's going to look like. Nope. No, it's a pre-build. It is what it is. It was just to show what they have achieved so far with what they did. This was not supposed to be the end thing. I'm glad they delayed the game and actually pushed it even further. But now we're seeing also the culmination of everything with how Microsoft has also implemented to bring down the barriers and the cost of entry when it comes to gaming. You can't afford a console? Hey, guess what? You can get on PC. You also have xCloud. That's also going to change the face of gaming. That's another thing to be celebrated, because over in Brazil right now, xCloud is exploding because these consoles are not only being asked for an exuberant price over in Brazil, but it's the fact that they're having a hard time getting them over there. So xCloud has exploded over there for this reason. And we've also seen Game Pass that has really helped push more people into the ecosystem because it's more affordable. I mean, like, we're not putting out these great big, the excuse of the expression, the asshole tax. Hey, guess what? It costs more to develop games. Well, duh, but there's also sources of revenue to help circumvent that. There really isn't a reason to raise the price of games. You have microtransactions and you have other ways to drive revenue. And Microsoft has proved this with Game Pass. And I mean, there is a lot more to celebrate for how Xbox has really seriously pushed the industry forward. And in my opinion, changed the industry, where these other companies are now trying to figure out how they're going to play ball in this new game that Microsoft has created.
All right. Well, I mean, I don't know how you follow that up, but ultimately, I think we all in agreement that this next show coming out is going to be an amazing show, and we want to see really big things. I mean, whatever they show, I think is going to be awesome. I mean, this is all pie in the sky stuff. You guys know we do this every week. You know, fantasy football, I call it. But let's go ahead and move on to the next topic. We're talking a little bit about God of War going to PC. This is funny, kind of ironic at the same time. Obviously the game is God of War 2018, so it's not the new God of War Ragnarok, but something very interesting that we've been seeing from Sony, especially since Jim Ryan's become the head at Sony. This new idea that PC is now a viable place, like they're looking at that, like, okay, this is something that we need to get into. When at one point that wasn't really the message coming out of PlayStation and or Sony. You know, they're still relying on a lot of first party, you know, because those traditionally they lean on those heavily to do well, and they do well. But this new idea that, okay, PC is now viable for us to put these games there. Now, whether they come day and date or, you know, day one at all, that's a whole nother conversation. But I just want to get your opinion first, Mav, on just the idea that PC, well, first party Sony games are starting to go to PC and probably will in the near future.
Yeah, I think it's a good step, right? For me, it's like kind of a bit overdue. I know that some people don't like this, right? I personally don't understand why, and we talked a little bit about it earlier, and it comes down to them not feeling special, really. Is kind of what we've figured out. But there's really no detriment to the gamer themselves at whatsoever that these games come out on other platforms. In fact, it just invites other players to be able to enjoy the experience, and I think that's good. You know, there's a lot of people that prefer to play on certain devices. So Sony's going to make more money from these games, which is going to allow them to make more investment into future games and come out with more games. And that's what everybody wants, right? Who cares exactly if it's only on one system, period, right? So I think this is a good step. Now, I think that they're trying to be careful with their fan base a little bit because of things that they've said in the past, and also with how things kind of get twisted at times with social media and all these things. And I think ultimately they understand the marketing side of a lot of this stuff really well. So that's why they're taking the slower approach to acclimating it. They're getting people used to the idea first. But I want to see that other step as well, because even though it's coming out on PC, they're selling it as another separate entity, right? Where if you own it on PlayStation, you still have to go purchase it on PC. Whereas like other console like Xbox, right, is a good example because they bring their games out to PC and Xbox day one. It's one purchase, right? You get dual entitlement. Like eventually, it would be nice to see PlayStation get to that. So that way, if a game wants to play where they want to play, you're not having to purchase the game twice. Another thing I would like to see is in the future, hey, you're bringing those updates to the PC version and you're putting that work in and you're making these graphical options and all these things that are going to be superior to anything on console. Hey, for the people that bought the game on the console, let's go ahead and give them an update to match the quality of the PC. So that way the PC version isn't like so far superior to what is on the console for everybody that's already purchased the game. So that's some things like where Xbox kind of had a huge head start because they started doing that last generation, right?
Yeah.
That I think Sony could get there as well. I think ultimately it's a good thing for gaming the more this happens, because in the age of digital purchases, right, which is where we're all going for the most part. I mean, some people are going to stick to physical, but overall, you see every year these publishers put out the reports, and it's like, okay, this year we're 75% digital now, right? And
Yeah.
those numbers grow every year. So in the age that most of gaming is going to be digital purchases moving forward, you need to have a system to where your games are going to come with you into the future, because you're not going to be able to go sell your game to somebody or go trade it or whatever. It's there as a digital license, right? So you want to be able to take that game with you wherever you go, much like you would a physical copy, right? And also you want that game to be updated to the future devices, much like movies and stuff like that, right? If you or music or wherever you listen, if you have a better stereo, right, it's going to sound better, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you have a better Xbox or better PlayStation, I want the game to look better. And they're coming out with those updates on PC all the time, and I'm done with them treating a console like it's a locked piece of equipment that they can't do this stuff with because it's so different than PC. Like they can do it, right? So I want to see that happen, and I think it would add value to the games that you purchase today, knowing they're going to get better in the future, right? It
Yeah,
puts a
I
little bit
agree.
more faith in your purchases, right? So I like this. It's a good first step.
Absolutely. And the funny thing, the cool thing that you brought up, and that this is what we don't need to miss, gamers, value. I think that's something as consumers we all want and like. There's no person that I know that says, "Oh, I hate value." So this is only going to be a great thing for PlayStation going forward. This is more money in Sony's pocket, right? Like this is what you guys want. You want more money in their pockets to be able to have new experiences, new games, go out and purchase all these studios. I don't, being a console only guy, I don't care what happens on PC. And that's why it's so funny when I see people arguing. And I know you probably play console majority of 99% of the time. Like, why are you so concerned with PC? I don't play PC. I don't game on PC. So this is only a good thing for PlayStation. There's nothing bad about this at all. Whether they come day and date, that's a whole different argument and conversation. But ultimately, in the long run, for all those reasons you just said, Mav, it just makes sense. We're going that direction anyway. You might as well get on board. So I feel you 100%. So let's go ahead and throw this over to Fuzz real quick. Get your opinion on God of War. It's not really just God of War going to PC because they've had other games go to. I believe Horizon Days Gone is going to PC as well.
Yep.
So this is not the first game or first party game, but just this trend. Where do you think the change came in, Fuzz?
Well, we saw Sony acquire, what was it, Nexus or something like that, which was their studio was more famously known
For ports,
as far
right?
as helping port
Yeah.
games over to PC. So it was to be expected. It was just a matter of time, and there were quite a few people in the community that predicted that God of War would be coming to PC at some point, and I
It took a
know
little
they
while.
got.
Took a little while.
Yeah, I mean, they got roasted for it, but it makes sense. I mean, especially with Jim Ryan, I think it was like last week or a week or so ago, he was saying that, it's great that they've sold hundreds of millions of consoles and they want to, reach hundreds of millions of gamers. And when it comes to like some of their best-selling titles, yeah, some are reaching the 20 million range, kind of like what Nintendo does because they're great at an attachment rate. But to reach more gamers, and especially in a time when the consoles are hard to come by, or even upgrade hardware for PCs for that matter, are hard to come by, there are a large percentage of gamers that are only on PC or may not have a PlayStation at their disposal and aren't really in the market for buying one as opposed to upgrading their PC. So what better way to reach them than to offer it on PC via Steam or Epic Store, and then that way now you are one making revenue off of a game that it's already sold to its limit on PlayStation. In fact, it's included in the PS5 collection if you sign up with PS Plus, but this is a way for them to continue, getting a return on investment on that game, which they can put towards the future of the next God of War. And it just helps continue the flow of the development cycle and everything. Look at Days Gone. Yes, it sold well. As far as on PC, it wasn't as big of a mover in comparison to Horizon Zero Dawn, and I guess it may have missed like some of their projected or expected, numbers, but it didn't do poorly. It's just that it didn't score as well, and it, I guess, didn't hit the 20 mil mark or something like that. But having it go to PC were additional sales that they were able to acquire. But with it missing the numbers that I guess they were hoping for, we're hearing that we're not going to get a Days Gone 2, at least not in the near term. They're going to have Ben Studios work on something different. But as far as any of the PlayStation first party games going to PC, whether it's 3 years down the road or eventually, I can foresee it being like day and date, which I kind of understand some of the apprehension about that. But I think more to like what Mav was saying, as far as like the root of that anger or disappointment for the PlayStation fans that don't want to see some of the exclusives go to PC. I get it. We had talked about it before, as far as them not feeling as special, it kind of devalues their purchase. But in the grand scheme of things, just looking at it from a gamer standpoint, you have more people in the gaming community at that point that you'll be able to discuss and enjoy the experience of playing that title. I think that's where we kind of miss the point of gaming to some extent. It's supposed to be a hobby that you enjoy, and if you enjoy that hobby, you usually want to discuss it or have a conversation with others that have had that same experience. So if you're going to add the PC gamers into that fold, I don't see it being a bad thing in any way. I mean, at this point, this is just going to add to people wanting more out of Sony Santa Monica and future God of War titles. But I don't know. I definitely foresee some more titles going. Kind of thought they may have slipped up in the small print before with Demon Souls, so I wouldn't be surprised if that comes later to PC. I think Just Key, who was in the chat earlier, made mention about like Returnal would be a pretty cool one, and K-Med had talked about Returnal as well. Would be nice if it came to PC, because like I said earlier, PS5s are still hard to come by. Series X's are still hard to come by. 3080s and 3090s are still hard to come by. I mean, you can get them if you want, if you're willing to pay scalpers, or if you're really patient and quick-fingered as far as ordering online. But this game coming to PC, it's a win-win for gamers. For fans of the PlayStation brand that don't see it as a win, then why are you gaming then? That's the better question.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get this over to Pong, man. Just kind of get your opinion on, God of War going to PC and just kind of direction. And obviously, we know Jim's. This is kind of where he sees the company going. He stated multiple times that they want to reach as many people as possible. He's even thrown hard numbers out, like, yeah, we're selling 20 million games, but I mean, there's other people out there that we want to reach, and we're not reaching these people. So just kind of where you at on just, it's not really about God of War, not the game going to PC. It's really about just them doing this more often as time goes by.
Well, welcome to reality, everybody. If you've been listening to real podcasts who understand industry as a whole and aren't giving you the fanboy talk, look, this is what we've been talking about forever. This is the new way. This is the way forward. Sony is capped with their console market. And Jim Ryan as a businessman and why he was hired. And again, Jim Ryan has his issues, but he was put there as a numbers guy. Sony Corp is reliant upon the PlayStation brand for a big chunk of their money. And how is he going to expand that money when the console market is capped? They know this. Everybody in the industry knows this. The numbers don't lie. It's been capped for about 5 to 10 years. They've got to reach more people. And if you're not going to be able to, if you've reached that watermark, that cap with your console sales, what are you going to do? You have to go to where the people are. That's what Xbox is doing. Xbox is saying, look, this is no longer about just the people who buy our, hardware and put it in their home. This is about reaching all the other people out there who are on mobile, who are on PC, who are playing on their tablets, who are going to be eventually playing on their TVs, who are playing on the PC. that's where the rest of the money is. This is an industry, people. This is a business at the end of the day. Again, we enjoy the fruits of that business in the form of an entertainment and a hobby that we all are passionate and love. But from the business side of things, they have to go make this money. It's better for everybody in the long run because, again, that just means more things for us to enjoy. And all these fanboys out here, it doesn't matter what side, it doesn't matter who you're talking on. You know, even Nintendo's side of things, if their fan base actually rose up and actually started demanding better,
not gonna happen.
It's not going to happen. No, but Nintendo's the one exception to this rule, right? Nintendo's the one company out of this whole thing that can go ahead and rely on that old model. Shout out to King David or Iron Lords, because he's spot on when he says Nintendo is a toy company, and they are. They're a toy company, but their model, they can survive this way because they make money on everything. From hardware to content, they make money, and they have an attach rate of 20% plus, many times higher than that, 40%.
Yeah, that's
right?
crazy.
That's the only way that old model works. That's the old days, right? But for everybody else who isn't playing in that pond, then you have to look elsewhere and you have to expand your horizons. Sony is slowly but surely turning the ship. Scott, look, Sean Layden started to change, but he liked to keep what a lot of people consider fat around, right? He liked to keep the pet projects. He liked to keep the pet studios around that put out artistic creative talent or artistic creative endeavors, but at the end of the day didn't produce money. That's why Sony moved to Jim Ryan to trim that fat down and get ready for this change. They see the future coming. They are behind already. They understand Xbox is leading the way. Xbox are the ones that are clearing the path for a lot of people in a lot of different ways right now. We saw Stadia. Google had a chance. They went to this full streaming service. They dipped their toes in the water and said, no, we're not about this. Let's get out, right? We see Amazon doing the same thing. They are pushing forward with this. I think Amazon is in this for the long haul, and they're the only really other competitors to Xbox in this. Sony's going to be following through the snow, through the mistakes with a much easier path because they have to. They don't have the resources that an Amazon, that an Xbox, Microsoft have to go ahead and forge through this unknown territory. They have to follow in those footsteps and find their own way because they're not going to be able to do a 1-for-1. So this God of War coming to PC is just inevitable. The other games coming to PC is just inevitable. And I think that this is just the beginning. I don't think that Sony will ever get to the point where they are day and date with every single one of their games, but I think we are going to see the time frame because, I've seen a lot of people move the goalposts already. A lot of people saying that this was never going to happen and are saying, well, it's a 3-year-old game. I could care less. It's a 4-year-old game. I could care less. Guess what? You're not living in reality if you're really honestly taking that standpoint. Again, I think that's intellectual dishonesty. I think they all know what's coming, but they don't want to tell their own fans that because that's not what's got them popular on YouTube. So they're going to stay away from that and they're just going to move the goalposts continually. But at the end of the day, this is just the beginning. And that time frame between release on Sony PlayStation and then over to PC is shrinking and shrinking. Look, they just brought on a new hire to take over from Apple to take over the mobile division. Right. So they are getting ready to move into mobile as well. Again, they used to be, but then they got out of it. But now they see the future's there. Why? Because they're no dummies. They know Microsoft is right when they come out and say, hey, we're trying to reach 2 to 3 billion people. When Satya comes out from Microsoft Corp, $2 trillion company, says this is the future, we're trying to hit this market. There's no way Sony doesn't already know that as well. Whether they like it or not, whether they want to play the old game or not, that's not going to matter at the end of the day. Adapt or die. That's what business is. And if you don't have this forward-thinking mentality, you will lose. Again, go ask Blockbuster how the all streaming movies worked, right? You can't, right? Because Blockbuster is gone. Why? Because they turned down Netflix. Netflix went to them and said, hey, we'll sell to you. Blockbuster laughed in their face and said, no way, streaming is not the future. Nobody's going to stop coming into their store and renting videotapes and DVDs. Are you kidding me? That's not going to stop. Physical media is not going to go away. Well, guess what? It has. It's still around, but Blockbuster isn't. Why? Because everybody's streaming their stuff now. Video games is the next one of those industries that is headed that way, whether we like it or not. Eventually, this will be, and I'm not talking about near future, but I am talking in 10, 15, 20 years, this will be an all digital market. That yes, there might still be some physical media holding on. Nintendo may still be out there producing, the next iteration of the Switch. But at the end of the day, that's the cheapest way to go about delivering something like this. And if they can pull it off, technology catches up, and all of a sudden worldwide, you've got good infrastructure, or the majority of the world has good infrastructure that can handle streaming 4K assets at 120 frames per second. Guess what? That's where it's going. So Sony is doing what they need to do to at least start making that turn towards it. And I'm happy for it. We are getting close. We always talk about this in Phil's vision of one day everybody can play everything everywhere. That's, you used to call him Kumbaya Phil because he had this vision of this moment. I would love it as a gamer if I could just buy one box and play everything on it. That's fantastic. Well, look, with the move towards digital, that might be a reality. There might be a point in my lifetime where I can sit down on my TV, have basically one app, maybe a couple apps, but stream any game that I want to direct to my home and never have to worry about going and picking up a console or finding a console because, scalpers have bought them all up. That could be a reality one day. And again, I'm not talking about near future. We understand the technology is not there yet, but we're getting there. And it takes people like Xbox and Phil and his team to push it forward. And then for people also as big as Sony, again, worldwide, Sony is still the king. When people see the king following suit, that means something. And not that they're going to be kings forever, but guess what? In the meantime, they also have to show that yes, this is the way forward. Even if their fanatical fan base, the extremists, don't like it, too bad. The clown show can go find somewhere else to play then if they don't like it. But this is the way forward because it means more money. It means a more stable company, which means more and more content coming out for all the rest of us gamers that don't have that mentality.
Bingo.
And don't care about it. Look, I'm ecstatic. You know what this means? This is the start of something. Now with NVIDIA opening it up for Edge browsers, right? They just opened up the Edge browser. Yep. You're going to be able to access GeForce on your Edge browser, GeForce Now on your Edge browser. That could mean potentially I don't have to go hunt down a PlayStation 5. That could potentially mean that I could eventually look into that service because they have in themselves, NVIDIA, I'm talking about, invested the same way that Xbox has, and they are now talking about being able to deliver 4K 60, 3080 type graphics through streaming. Again, that's in a perfect world, the perfect situation with a perfect internet. But at the end of the day, if I can play God of War and all I got to do is pay a monthly service, but I can stream God of War to my big screen and I don't have to go get that PlayStation 5, and it's a relatively good price point for that monthly service as a budget gamer, heck yeah, I'm excited. That's everything I've been waiting for and more. So again, I love this. And all the fanboys out there, buckle up. This is just the beginning.
Yeah.
Sony is, as I've seen Jim Ryan, as transparent as Sony, again, it's all relative. We're used to Xbox. But again, Sony's being as transparent as they can and telling you to your faces, this is the future. And we are going to do this because we're not going to sit back and die.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's where this is. I think this is, again, we've seen it already. Horizon Zero Dawn, and Days Gone, as was pointed out, those were kind of the beginnings. However, I will say as my final point, if you want to know how serious Sony is about this, and I said this on Living Split Screen this morning, look at what they're putting in to make God of War the definitive experience. That is going to be the definitive experience on PC, not on PlayStation. It's going to be, they have done a lot of work on this game, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. If you look at the side by side, eventually they might release a director's cut to PlayStation 5 with some of these graphical settings, but they are making sure that those PC players, even those 1% PC players that have top of the line rigs that can run it, are going to have the definitive experience. That's how serious they are. Horizon Zero Dawn was kind of just a port that got pushed out. It didn't sell as well because there was a lot of issues on the PC side of things when it first dropped, right? Days Gone was a little bit better, but God of War is going to be that definitive experience. That's why they went out and purchased Nixxes, is to help them make sure that when they are porting their games over, it is going to be the ultimate experience. So they aren't treating PC as just, oh, it's a little side dish. Oh, hey, we're going to make a little money over on this PC side. No. They understand that the PC master race over there, the guys and gals who primarily game on PC expect the best experience, and that's how you're going to get your most sales. And Sony's taking that serious. So they understand that market and what they need to do there. And they're not going to skimp on that side of things. They're going to go full bore into that market and say, hey, you want to get a Sony game? We love you. Come play it. We're going to make sure that you have the best experience possible, even on your PC. And it may even be better than what we're offering our console players. That's the way it works. That's the way it should work. They have the hardware. Take advantage of it. I don't feel any worse off because I know that somebody on a PC might be able to play Halo at a higher setting, or might be able to play Forza Horizon 5 coming up here soon at a better frame rate. I don't care. That doesn't bother me in the least. It doesn't take away from my experience. I'm a console player for a reason. PC players, mainly PC players, are a PC player for that reason. So guess what? Let them enjoy it to the best give them the best experience that they can have over there. I'm happy for this. Love this. This is the industry that I want to see. This is the accessibility that we're now starting to get, is the dreams come true as a little kid, thinking about when I had to go over my buddy's house and play Nintendo when I just had a Sega, or when we had to trade consoles. This is the experience that I'm waiting for, because eventually I think we're all going to be able to play whatever we want to, wherever we are. And that's fantastic. I have zero issues with it. I love this.
All right, well, let's go ahead and throw this over to Centurion, because we got to get this thing moving a little bit. Go ahead, Centurion.
Well, there's been a lot of good points made in this whole conversation. I really believe that we are seeing the evolution of Sony as a whole. We saw this with Sean Layden just suddenly departing, because we obviously are now seeing that his ideals for what he saw PlayStation were not lining up with what they really needed. We all know that when you try to create this sacred garden of exclusivity, it doesn't generate much revenue. We all know this because the guy over at Ben Studios said this. The reason why Days Gone does not have a sequel right now is because you guys did not buy it day one. His words, not mine. And that's where we see the fundamental flaw of trying to create the exclusive sacred garden. Jim Ryan sees this. He sees a lot of money being left on the table. As somebody who is actually in control, me personally, in control of a company's budget for a department, if I left money on the table, let's just say I would be brought into a very closed room and I would be talked to very sternly about leaving money on the table. That's just not something you do in business. And let's just say that I'm excited to see PlayStation do this, because the evolution of the company, now this is where the two companies are now, the fork is starting to diverge here. Xbox has found their direction in gaming, and I've said this before, Sony has found their direction in gaming, and their eyeball is to be an entertainment type platform. Entertainment, the mixture of gaming with movies and television and other forms of pop culture. That is their thing that they want to do. And they know that they can reach masses by being able to diversify their ecosystem and allowing more people to have accessibility to these games. And I just really think it's funny. Like when you saw the tweet come out for God of War, for kicks and giggles, I thought I would read the comments, and the comments read exactly the way I thought they would. Everybody, for some reason, thought that their purchases were no longer valued because somebody else was able to play that game somewhere else. But if you want my honest to God opinion about the whole situation, you either play on PC or you play on console. You generally aren't hardcore on both. You're choosing one as your main choice of gaming. And I'm the kind of person that likes to kick back on my couch and actually play my games. Let's think about this retrospectively. back in 2018, 2019, to have a PC that was on the same par as an Xbox One X, you were spending roughly around $900 to $1,000, depending on how you built it and all that good stuff, when you could go out and buy an Xbox One X for about $400. You know, there's the perk side to console gaming. Console gaming, very much lower bar of entry when it comes to price tag, but you don't have the flexibility like you do on PC, where you can get into your settings and do this and do that. But there's also the other stuff with PC as well. Like, let's just look at it. Like, I don't know how many times I've had to update my graphics card this year alone before I could do anything with it. Hey, it needs an update before you can do something. The funny part is with the Xbox consoles, generally a lot of that happens in the background, but due to the issues with the PS5, every time I turn my PS5 on, it feels like a PC because I got to update something on there. But I'm excited to see this whole situation starting to occur, because the naysayers that were just basically giving Xbox a ton of crap for always putting their stuff on PC are now left speechless, because they now know Jim Ryan is going to do this. There's only, let's look at it. I think the best-selling game on PlayStation is God of War, and we're somewhere under 20 million.
Spider-Man, I believe.
Oh, Spider-Man. So I believe, we'll just use God of War's numbers anyways, because I looked that up. We're under 20 million. So I think it was like 9.5 million copies sold. That is less than 1/4 of your hardware base. That definitely disturbs Jim Ryan, and he wants to have a much more further reach with the content that PlayStation puts out. Because you know what? He actually sees that PlayStation does develop very good quality content. People love what they put out, and it's good to see that Jim Ryan recognizes the quality that's behind that content. So why gatekeep it behind a plastic box? Allow other people to experience this content, so that way they can get more cash flow into Sony's pockets, and therefore we can create more games, other hardware, and other things to drive the brand forward. This is a win-win for people who understand the concept of don't leave money on the table, and why gatekeep off your content. To me, it's just shocking on how many people are just up in arms over the fact that other people are able to play this game outside of a PlayStation box.
Yeah, I guess that's the whole weird part about it, guys. And shout out to Pong. I didn't get to elaborate after what you were saying, but just great points between both of you guys. And I think that's the key thing, is that Sony's different. This is not the same Sony that that we're used to seeing, and it hasn't been for a while now. And I think that's something that people are having a hard time coming terms with. I think we're seeing some people kind of wiggle in their seats because they don't really, things are a little different. Things coming down the line are a little different. Jim has different plans. He's not showing up to the house to pick the girl up at 10. He's dropping her off at 11, 12 at night now. Things are a little different. So I think people got to get used to this. And once again, money left on the table in business. No.
By the way, not to interrupt, has anybody seen the cost of what God of War is going to be on PC?
$50.
I think that's insulting. $50 right
bucks.
There. Yeah, it's
bucks.
Like, you're paying a $20 penalty for playing it on the console.
Yeah, it's once again, they shouldn't complain, because once again, right, it's an old game, right? So there shouldn't be any complaints about the price, because it was an old game. So, but anyway, let's go ahead and keep going. Moving on to the last topic. Shout out to everybody watching live. Appreciate you guys. Crazy Louie, what just happened? Matt, Zink, everybody just in the chat hanging out. Appreciate you guys. Hit the like button, man. It's gonna be the last topic before we wrap things up. And we're gonna start with you again, Mav. Guest. We're talking a little bit about Starfield, and obviously this game is coming out next year. One of the biggest games that I think most people are looking forward to, whether you have an Xbox or not. I think Starfield, is on a lot of people's minds, because once again, this is Todd's baby, and we don't get these very often. Todd doesn't take personal reins over a game very often. So this is something he's been cooking up in the oven for 20 years. So essentially, we all want to see what this looks like. And they've been kind of trickling out information about this slowly over time. It's been a slow drip, man. So just about some of the new information about factions and about what actually happened, pre-time on not Skyrim, Lord have mercy, on Starfield, and just background on the factions and worlds and things like that. So kind of how you feeling about just the information flow coming out from Starfield, and is it getting you excited, or are you just kind of not paying much attention to it? You kind of want to wait till it's a little closer.
I've been amped for this game before I knew it existed. I mean, they've been working on this since Fallout 4 came out. Right, like Fallout 4 came out, then the main team moved to Starfield.
And this has probably been a concept before Fallout. Like it's probably been rolling around in his head forever.
Yeah, that's when it moved into main development, right? Where like the core teams start working on it. Before that, it's in pre-production for years, right? There's interviews of him talking about how long they've been working on this and pre-production. It's always been an idea that he's had, because originally he always wanted to have the 3 main franchises. He wanted to have the like post-apocalyptic style game, so they went out and got Fallout for him to work on, right? He wanted the fantasy medieval style game, right? So they already had Elder Scrolls. Now he's got his sci-fi space epic, right? His dream, his end-all be-all, he calls it, of what he wants to play as far as a sci-fi space game. And for people that just focus on negative stuff and just trying to think about, oh, well, Fallout 76, and you don't understand Bethesda. You don't understand what's going on there. Who's working on what?
Talk to him, Mav. Talk to him.
The main team is the Elder Scrolls Morrowind, Elder Scrolls Oblivion, Elder Scrolls Skyrim, Fallout 3, Fallout 4 guys, okay? That team that keeps growing, getting better and better. That is the team that Todd Howard leads on his special projects, right? He has been waiting for the opportunity for years to make this game. And the time was finally right after Fallout 4. They knew that this was going to be the one they were going to finally get to work on, because they had enough talent and teams out there to pull to make this happen. We already heard about the crazy amount of dialogue that's more than any Bethesda game before it. We've heard about how big it's going to be, all these worlds. And you got to understand, if you play a game like Skyrim or Oblivion or Fallout, the amount of time it takes to create the stories. I mean, you're making up a fake reality of like history, right? You're making a fake history. You're making fake religions. You're making fake lore, right? You're doing all of this stuff. You're creating different species and planets and all of the stuff.
Languages,
that they do is,
all kind of stuff.
Languages, yes, it's crazy. All of this stuff is so deep, right? And then you got to build it on this updated engine that they've been waiting for to be able to make this game. That also Elder Scrolls 6 will be when this finally launches. That's what they're moving to next, right?
Just to throw in, Mav, they've been waiting on the hardware to get there too. The hardware needed to get to a certain spot.
They've been waiting for the technology to be able to have the engine that is capable of pushing this game that they have envisioned out, right? And the team that they have built up together through all of the Bethesda studios to be able to make this stuff happen. And I mean, you can listen to him in interviews talk about this very stuff. And one thing about Todd Howard is like, he's very blunt when he talks, right? You know, he's just like to the point and all that kind of stuff. I cannot wait. Everything I see just completely tells me every feeling I've had about what this could possibly be is on point, right? Like I was excited, and people were saying, "Why are you excited? You don't even know what this game is."
Yeah,
I did a whole video about it. And I was like, I know what this game is. It's a Todd Howard freaking space sci-fi game. What am I supposed to? How is that not supposed to excite me? You know what I mean? So I even broke all that down about everything we knew about it from him speaking on the game. And man, from just everything I see, dude, even the music, it's got that interstellar vibe, right? Going with the way the ships look, to the way that they got these factions and like the Constellation Group or whatever it's called, and then these different planets with these different scenery, and all the concept art is just blending together to be this perfect thing that I think when this game drops, it's going to change things and what people consider possible for RPGs going forward. I think it's going to shift people's minds and blow people away. Remember when Skyrim came out, right? I was like, what? like I get to play this, like it was like a wow, it wasn't just like, oh, it's another game. This is going to be, I think, even beyond that. So I'm super pumped, dude.
I agree. And the one thing I might have to exclude Pong from this topic because we all know how he feels about God Howard. No, but just playing.
Praise his name, amen.
Got that altar, like those two candles at the altar. But anyway, but no, I agree. And I think the one thing that you highlighted, Mav, that I want to kind of put my foot on as well is this is Todd's game. Like let's be clear. This is not just a Bethesda game. Like I think people don't separate the two things. I know Todd is Bethesda, Bethesda's Todd. No. This is Todd's game. This is not just some game they're putting out with the Bethesda title on it. So my expectations were already through the roof. And shout out to Kei Asante. To be exact, 150,000 lines of dialogue. That's insane. So I just the expectation. How could you not have a gigantic expectation considering what he's already told us? This is the game he's been wanting to make for 20 years. That should tell you everything you need to know about what this game could potentially be and what he wants this game to be. I don't really need to know anything else. So all of that whole we don't know anything about the game, I'm with you, Mav. I don't care. I don't need to know too much about the game. I know what he's trying to do. That's all I care about. Is what he's trying to do.
People are too easy to forget. Like, people forget Fallout 4, Fallout 3, Elder Scrolls, all those Elder Scrolls games, and they're only focused on what have you done for me lately, Well, he hasn't been the lead on one of these games since Fallout 4. Like, this is the thing. This is what they've been working on.
Oh yeah,
right. This is that game we're finally getting, and it's taken this long.
Yeah,
it's taken this long,
and that's not an accident. That's all intentional.
No.
This is so he's been waiting for the roads to cross, for everything to line up to put this game together, and things have lined up, and this is what he's going to put out. So I'm excited. I'm with you, man. I don't have no qualms. I don't need to know anything else. Like whatever we get, even though it's a kind of a drip feed, I'm cool with that because the way I like they're doing as well, and this is key. With these type of games, I get invested in the lore. When you get invested in the lore and a story, you've already sold people like that. That's what carries these games. That's why Skyrim sold over 125 million copies. People are invested in the lore, the world, the story building, the characters. That's what you need to get people into, like to carry these type of games. This is why these games last for so long. This is why the Fallouts and the Fallout 4s and these games are so iconic. People are invested in them. So when you build a community around a game, and I think that's what this Starfield is going to do, I think it's going to create a different dialogue. As far as like space shooters, we haven't had a really, really, really good one since probably like an iconic one since Mass Effect, right? 1 or 2, right? Yeah. Like we haven't had one of these super big iconic space, kind of RPG games. So it's been a little while, so we're a bit overdue. But let me go ahead and throw this over to you, Pong, and just kind of get your opinion on this. And I know, Pong, we got to try and keep it a little short.
Oh, you're gonna let me talk about this? I thought I was gonna try. Oh, we gotta try and block me out of this.
No, absolutely. I would never do that, man. I would never. Not God Howard. I would never do that.
Yeah, no, I'll keep it short. I know everybody wants to get out of here. So look, I started off the show by exalting my refound a love of Skyrim at the beginning of the show. So you know where I'm at. Anybody who watches this show knows, again, God Howard is the be all end all when it comes to devs for me. So all this new information just confirms what we already have started to hear. And, like Mav talked about, there's plenty of interviews with Todd in the past about what he was looking for. Sci-fi is one of the, unexplored territories in a lot of ways for gaming because it's so hard to do right. Like we have a lot of really, really good starship shooters, online games. We have a lot of that. But the Mass Effects, like you were just saying, PTK, are few and far between because it's very hard to pull off. It's one thing to pull off like a world like Skyrim, It's another to pull off multiple worlds like you can get in a sci-fi adventure. And I think that if there's any team I want to see try to do that, outside of like an I don't know. I don't know how many people can actually pull it off. So there's no other team I'd rather see try than Todd and his A team, because I think, again, what they bring is just, it's on another level. And people forget, again, it's with gamers, it's always, what have you done for me lately? And everybody still puts Fallout 76 on Todd, just because he put his name on it. And yes, when you put your name on something, you better make sure it's right. Fallout 76, when it started, it was not anywhere near being right. If you go back and play it now, however, it is truly a good Fallout experience, by far. It really, really is different from how it started. However, he put his name on it, so he's got to live with that. But Todd's legacy, in my eyes, can't be tarnished with that. I know some people were unhappy with Fallout 4, and I get it. They took away too many RPG elements, turned it more into, an action game than people wanted. And I think they learned from that experience. So I expect nothing but what we get from a classic Todd Howard game in this, but in space, right? And I think that we're going to get his peak right here. He's been waiting to do this for so long, decades. And now that he's comfortable with the technology and decided to move forward with it, this is going to be his crowning achievement. And I truly believe that. I think this is the next big franchise going forward. I think we're going to have the rotation now of Fallout, Elder Scrolls, and Starfield from the Bethesda team. Now that they're underneath Xbox, they will be able to expand their studios even further and make sure that they have teams being able to get these games out, quality, not B team working quality, but we're talking about A team quality. I think that this is going to be one of their shining moments, and this is going to be one of the new franchises. So I am excited. I am hyped. I've got my time off of work already scheduled for it. For sure. This is it. This is the be all end all. And I cannot wait, because again, from a sci-fi standpoint, there's so much to do, so much to see. You're not relegated to just one world. You're relegated to multiple worlds. I can't wait to see what they do with the starship travel. If you're going to be able to build off your spaceship, if you're going to be able to make your own spaceship, whatever he's going to bring, it's going to be big. And I cannot wait to find out what it is. So, of course, hype off the chart. I can't wait.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I also want to highlight too about this, and I think everyone here shares my same sentiment about this game, is that, eventually, this game is going to come out, and people are going to have to deal with Starfield being an amazing game, because to me, I just feel like there's something different about this game. This is not the normal process. Like, you got to understand, this has been sitting in his head for 20 years, 25 years. Like, you understand the amount of passion that man has for Starfield. Like, this is the game he's been wanting to make for forever.
And just from looking at some of the artwork and stuff that and some of the digging people have done, they are going to go back to, they're taking inspiration from classic sci-fi, which you are speaking to a lot of people's heart. They're going back to that 60s, 70s style sci-fi, which if you go back and look at those books, my God, some of the best work done is out of that era. That's how we got Star Trek, was from that era, right? That's key sci-fi. I can't wait.
I have huge expectations, and whether fair or unfair, realistic or unrealistic, I have huge expectations for Starfield. Yeah. I'm sorry, it is what it is. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Fuzz. Get your opinion. I mean, some of the new details that have dropped from Starfield, we all understand, what this game is going to be or should be, from just how excited, Todd Howard is talking about it, but just what are your expectations for Starfield, especially based on some of the new, information we've gotten, little bits and pieces over time?
Well, I like that they're releasing some of this info now, as far as some of the lore, because that's kind of like what got me hooked on the Division, when they were talking about some of the backstory before, like the leading up to the dollar flu and things like that. But with sci-fi, there's a special place in my heart, especially like you guys already talked about, like with Star Trek. I'm a huge Trek fan, and it's just one of those things now that this solidifies that we'll see this November 11th of 2022. they're probably either on schedule or ahead of schedule, and can now get into the cadence of, all right, we're going to release a little bit more lore here and a little bit more lore there. That's the perfect way to kind of like build up between now and like E3, let's say, where we might get like another, more integral, gameplay trailer or something along those lines. But I think understanding the different factions, the way the system kind of started or broken off, and the warring factions and peace agreements and things like that, getting that out there now will give you a sense of how or where you want to start your direction when you get that game in hand. So I love what they're doing with this. I was already excited for this even before they even showed anything beyond that first, what was it, like 30-second trailer where you see the satellite get sucked into like a wormhole type of thing. The lore stuff that they've released since then, I'm trying not to get too hyped about it because I'm already overhyped now with Forza Horizon 5 coming out here pretty soon. But I do enjoy the fact that they're releasing this info now. Looking forward to it. As things progress and time builds, we need something like, since Mass Effect, I guess the newer one that they're working on now isn't going to be around for probably a couple of years before it's released. They just did the trilogy, remaster. I think this will fit a perfect spot between now and November with them going over the history and everything. And yeah, I can't wait.
Oh yeah. All right. No, okay. So I once again, I think we all echo the same sentiment here on the panel. Let's go ahead and get this over to Centurion. Get your opinion, man. Starfield, man. The new some new information dropped. They're drip feeding us a little bit here and there, but I think that's fine in this case because you don't want to give us too much information. So I think that's kind of cool. So the anonymity creates like a level of expectation as well. So I like the fact that it's kind of drip fed. But go ahead, Centurion.
What can I say? I'm excited for this. I'm actually kind of like, I don't want to say surprised, but I'm actually glad to hear other people talking about sci-fi the way I feel about it. We'll start with Pong talking about that early gritty sci-fi. For me, that gritty sci-fi was the original Alien movie. Just the way that movie was designed back then when it came to how they created that sci-fi atmosphere. I'm loving what I see when it comes to Starfield on how they're designing the ships, the character models, the concepts. And then we mentioned Star Trek. Now that's where Star Trek was one of the first things that came to mind for me, because that's where like the sci-fi nerd in me really loves to hang out. Because we all, like, when we talk about where the game is going to take place, it's in, I think they're calling it like the settlement system.
Yeah,
is that
I
what
believe.
They're calling it?
Yeah.
And basically that's 50 light years, and they're creating this little pocket 50 light years outside of our known solar system. And if you're into Star Trek, a lot of people associate Star Trek with, they're everywhere. A vast majority of Star Trek actually takes place in what they refer to as the Alpha Quadrant, which is our little quadrant of the Milky Way galaxy, which isn't a very big quadrant. It's actually divided into 4 quadrants. And in the Star Trek universe, you don't really see too many of the other quadrants until you start getting into the later shows. And that's where I loved the evolution of the show. Like, if you went from the beginning of Star Trek, where the Klingons were the enemies, to where they were in Next Generation, that they were now allies as part of the Federation. This is what I'm seeing in Starfield, in the lore that they're creating. This has me completely hyped. And then it tickles my excitement bone even more when I see like that drawing of like that Citadel style structure that they're creating, where all these races and other groups are going to come together and try to form some kind of galactic government. It reminded me of the Mass Effect Citadel. And I mean, Mass Effect had me totally enamored. I loved the amount of lore that was in Mass Effect. And now we're going to have Todd Howard involved. Todd Howard has given me experiences of walking out of the vault in Fallout 3 and seeing the wasteland for the first time and going over to Megaton where they had the giant nuke in the thing, and then Rivet City and these all created things just in a small wasteland. And then I fast forward to Skyrim, and we had these great events that took place in a world that was incredibly detailed. We also had some lore there, like the Aldmeri Dominion and how the elves took over Skyrim. And basically the elves were pretty much the big a-hole of the game, at least the high elves. And that actually translates into Elder Scrolls Online, which takes place before the events in Skyrim. And you actually see the elves still in that a-hole nature, and they're actually pushing their own objectives on the Skyrim factions over there. And you can actually see them trying to push towards how Skyrim lines up with that game. And then somebody mentioned Fallout 4. I still really loved Fallout 4. I played that game way more than I should have. And that game to me really hit some tones that, I mean, I loved battling the Brotherhood of Steel. I loved when I walked out of the building and you see the Zeppelin for the first time going overhead as the Brotherhood of Steel are telling people not to be alarmed and they're there for peace and all that other BS. I have had some really, really great experiences in gaming, and they have all revolved around Todd Howard. I think it's really great that you're calling him God Howard, because I feel like that's how Bethesda has been my company for a very long time when it comes to the style of game I look for. And the fact that we have Starfield, something that's hitting that sci-fi nerd that I grew up watching, Star Trek, Star Wars. Dude, if you want to talk about some of the hidden gems in sci-fi, let's talk about Freddie Prinze Jr. in Wing Commander. That was a freaking movie that needed to have a lot more lore and depth to the movie that it had. And this, I feel, is going to be a really great sci-fi hit, and it's going to be something that I am probably going to lose hours of my life into. I mean, what more could I want out of a sci-fi game?
No, I agree. It evokes a lot of different sci-fi like cues. You know, everybody talks about Star Trek, Star Wars. Like, that's the beautiful thing about this. Like, and we don't even know much about the game, and we're already getting those vibes, those visuals. It's new and nostalgia at the same time. Like, that's the best
in the chat right there. Dune, another sci-fi. Dude, people like are experiencing Dune for the first time. I have watched Dune from the original movie with Sting in it. I've watched multiple versions of Dune from different directors all across sci-fi, and that's just shows exactly just like, I mean, if you take a franchise seriously in sci-fi and really have some good lore, you're going to have a franchise that lasts for generations.
No, I feel you, man. So I 100% agree. So it's a lot of different like cues, a lot of sci-fi cues. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap this thing up, man. But I appreciate you guys watching, man. You guys have been awesome. Starfield is gonna be amazing. We're all gonna play it. We're all gonna go out. Obviously, it's gonna be in Game Pass, I assume, day and date. But we're all gonna play it. We're all gonna support the game. I just can't wait to see what that 25-year-old vision actually ends up being. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap the show up on that note, man. It's been an amazing show. We've talked a lot of great topics, man. So let's go ahead and just get to our guests here. First and foremost, I want to say, Mav, you're awesome. You know, like another brother of mine. Once again, we met not too long ago, and you've been a star ever since. The show is amazing. What you guys got going on over there at FSP and just Fun Speculation is amazing. I'm always going to be a big fan. Always going to support you. And once again, thank you, Caitlin, as well, because you're on borrowed time, by the way, if you didn't know, man. She gives you the time to come do this.
Yeah.
But shout out to Caitlin. Shout out to everybody over there at FSP. The whole crew. You got a great thing going. And once again, thank you for spending a little bit of time with us. But let everybody know where they can find you, brother.
Dude, much respect to you, PTK, as always. Thank you for all the kind words. Awesome show, awesome time. Everything I hoped it would be. Centurion, Fuzzy, Pong, you guys rock as well. Hey, if you want to check out anything we got going on, just follow on Twitter at Fun Speculation. We have a lot of shows now that we do. I know I keep adding new shows because I just can't stop talking about games. I'll freaking love it. Check out, let's see, Mondays, Tidbits. Wednesdays, Fun Pop. Thursdays, PM in the PM. And Friday is Xbox Ultimate. Saturdays, FSP. All different shows, all different flavors, all different panel members. And we just absolutely have a blast. Again, like I said, I'm not going to go into times and everything because I could just get crazy. Just follow on Twitter, a Fun Speculation, if you want to find the times when everything's going live. I update pretty frequently. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, PTK. Appreciate it.
No problem, man. Won't be the last time you be back, man. It's been a little bit of a gap in time, but but we'll keep it going. But appreciate you once again. Shout out to Caitlin. Shout out to you, Mav. The whole team you guys got going over there at FSP. Once again, if you're a fan of this show, please do me a favor. Go support Mav and everything they got going over there. You will not be disappointed. Very high quality, high integrity, smart conversation, smart gamers. They really do play games. And that's what I like the most. Like, he plays games every day. So shout out to you for being awesome, Mav. Thank you once again for joining us, brother. All right, let's get to my three compadres here. Mr. Pong Harvey. We went to Speculation Town. We spent quite a bit of time there today. I got a lot of souvenirs. I got some new stuff. It's been good, man. But shout out to you, brother, for joining us once again like you do every week. But let the great people here know where they can find you.
Absolutely. Hey, look, fantastic show. Mav, I'm not, even though I give you a hard time, I'm not tired of you, brother. I love hearing your voice. So at least I didn't have to see you today. So you know what? That's an improvement. So
I can hit the button. I can hit it.
No, it was a fantastic show, brothers. Love it. God, this is just start my morning off right on Saturdays and end my night right on Saturdays. Just a great show. Appreciate all of your thoughts. We did have some bigger topics, but people were just, we had a great thoughts coming out of everybody tonight. So that's always a good time. That's what I love coming here for. Chat, you guys were phenomenal. Thank you for all being here as you are every week. Definitely love seeing everybody show up week in and week out. So thank you. All love and respect to you as well. Look, PongSoul everywhere. You know the drill by now. Unlike Mav, I'm going to give you the full slate because I believe in self-promotion, and who knows what tomorrow brings, right? So tomorrow I am going to be on with Spooky Sprocket, a great member of the community. He has been out here. He supports a ton of different shows. He is from Australia. He's got his own channel, and he does a Dark Wasteland where he grabs different members of the community, and we just kind of sit back and talk, man. We talk about the history and where we came from in gaming, all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to be doing that tomorrow night with him. I believe it's at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 o'clock Central Time, or 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central Time. So watch my Twitter for that. I'll be tweeting that out as he will too. But great guy, just an awesome dude, great friend. So I can't wait to sit back and talk with him. Otherwise, the regular schedule Tuesdays, you know that, Xbox Factor Podcast, Mr. Boomstick, Double Barrel Gaming Channel. Go check it out, please. 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. We've got Boom. We've got Zemi. Mav is now a full-time member of the show. We got 3-Bit back. Boom added Archimedes from the Thursday show that he no longer does. So we've got a Hall of Fame panel on Tuesdays. Come check us out. All Xbox talk. Great time there. Xbox Factor Podcast. Thursdays, that's right. Mav just talked about it. PM in the PM, the brand new show, Pong and Mav in the PM. Look, it's just like living split screen. It's Mav and I. We're going to deep dive one topic, maybe two, maybe three on slower weeks. We'll see how much we get through. But we're going to deep dive a topic that he and I decide we want to talk about from the week. Man, what a great show. The first show was just last week, and we just had an absolute blast. We did that Thursday acquisition show, that special that we did, and had such a great time. Mav was gracious enough to add me to another one of his empire of shows right now. And so we're doing that. Plus, he gave me the captain's chair. Again, might be, I said this last night, but it might be the biggest mistake of his life, but he decided to put me in charge. Look out. So come by, see us. It is at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time on Thursdays. Be there. It is a great time. PM in the PM over on Fun Speculations channel. Then, of course, Friday nights back there again. Xbox Ultimate with the Magnificent Seven. Mav, his amazing wife Caitlin. We are some people short, but Mav has been filling in. We had Gaming Forte and Slow Mo Backslap from DPS and a million other shows on last night. He's been filling the holes with a bunch of good AAA high quality guests. drop by and see us. We're going to get some people back hopefully very soon here. We miss the family being all together, but Xbox Ultimate is a family show where we go left a lot. So it's a fun time. 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time, Xbox Ultimate Friday nights, Saturday mornings, living split screen. My brother from another Steel, Rain, and I are bringing it. Again, we are no longer saying it's a 2-hour show because it's not. It is 3 hours plus. So strap in, set your alarms, get ready. We'll take care of your whole morning for you. No problem. 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time. Man, we covered so much today. It was crazy. But drop in, check us out. 3 p.m. UK time, living split screen. Split screen is all one word, live, raw, and uncut, like Steel likes to say. Drop in on Saturday mornings, and then I'll be back here next week. Shop podcast, ending my weekend the right way, my Saturday night the right way with these brothers here, my extended family, as all my shows are. Love you all. Golden age of gaming is upon us. If you can't tell, just check out the podcasts that are exploding everywhere. There's so much to talk about right now across the industry. Golden age is here. Enjoy it while it lasts. It's something special that may not see again, but enjoy it now. Play what you love what you play. Get out there and play something this weekend, and I'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate you, Pong. Thank you, man. Once again, if you didn't get all of that, just follow his Twitter, okay? And then that's gonna be the easiest
they got
way to
all of
keep
that.
up.
They got all of that. I'm hypnotizing people right now, PTK. Trust me.
Pong, man, appreciate you, bro. Every single week bringing the energy, man. There's never a dull show as long as you're on it, and I appreciate that, bro. That's why you're here, man. Thank you so much for being here and being awesome as you always are, brother, man. My two other brothers here, Fuzzy Belvedere, man. How you feeling? Let everybody know what's going on, man.
This was awesome. Thank you, man, for joining us tonight. Thank you, chat, for coming in, chatting it up with us and everything. It's always awesome to have you guys, either discuss stuff or argue with us in the chat. It's always fun. Man, I just love doing this stuff, and if anybody wants to see my weird ramblings on either Forza or lately Insurgency Sandstorm, you can follow me on Twitter at fuzzy_Belvedere. You can also see me sometimes on Tidbits as a guest with Mav on Mondays, usually around 1 p.m., going over the weekend games, the new releases on pretty much everything, whether it be PlayStation, Nintendo, Xbox, or PC. You can also find me on Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on FSP Podcast, Fun Speculation Podcast with Mav and Key. And we had a special guest earlier tonight. Come check us out. It's always about, the games and the various things in the news and stuff like that. So it's always a good time. And then, man, I always enjoy finishing off the week here at the Shop Podcast with you, BLAM, Pong, and Centurion. You guys are awesome. My second family. And man, I just thank you everyone for joining us tonight.
Awesome.
Really appreciate it.
And shout out to you, Fuzz, for always being slick and smooth, bringing the slickness to the show, man. We appreciate you. Last but not least here, Mr. Centurion. Let everybody know where they can find you, man.
Well, if I can be truthful for a second, you guys can find me on my YouTube channel at Centurion1307. That has been dormant for like a few months now. I was creating content there for a moment, and then something happened where the doctors asked me to take a step back and not sit in front of a computer screen for a little while, just to see if that's what was causing the issues. Now that we've kind of got some management for what's going on, I can't stay away. I keep thinking about wanting to create content, so I'm going to start creating content again. Really looking forward to that. So please stay tuned for what we're going to put out. I'm waking Fanboy out of his jail cell, and we're going to have some fun with him once again. Definitely also check me out on Twitter and of course Xbox Live at Centurion1307. You can find me right here with these amazing gentlemen who are like a second fam to me, that have given me some motivation to push through some crazy crap going on. Right here on the Shop Podcast. Also shout out to you, Mav. Love your content. Love everything that you and Pong are doing. It's really exciting to see people that have that drive, that motivation to capture what they have passion for. And I mean, you guys are shining examples of that. You could also
Appreciate
find me
you.
over on the TXR podcast with another amazing group of individuals that have a lot to add to the gaming community. And, you know, also Pong, I've had the good honor of actually being able to DM Spooky Sprocket. Amazing guy in the community. I've checked out some of his videos on Twitter of him doing songs and other great stuff. I mean, dude, I'll have to tune into that show as well. It just really excites me to see the community coming together, helping each other grow, and everybody is embracing this great hobby of ours that we call gaming. So I couldn't find myself wanting to be anywhere else than right here, right now. So thank you guys. Thank you, chat. Everyone have a good night.
Awesome, man. Appreciate you. And your host here, PTK Blam across the board. You want to play with me on Xbox Live, hit me up there. Follow me on Twitter. That's where you're going to be able to keep up with everything going on with the show, all the updates, new guests, poll of the week. That's all going to be under me on Twitter. So I appreciate you guys every single week. The chat was lit today. We keep bringing the energy. We're growing every week. So subscribe if you have not. You want to become a member, join as well. You do get some perks, you know, a cool badge, as well as I believe I'm working on a couple other things to provide if you want to go that route as well. But I just appreciate you guys being here. You guys are awesome, bringing the energy every week. So same place, same time next week. Love you guys. We are out of here. Peace out, everyone. Enjoy your weekend.
Bye.